All right, Greg, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Ghost Town by Joel and Valerie Reeves. Fade in exterior desert encampment, night. A pair of lightly armored Spanish soldiers with shovels, Martin Martinez and Antonio Valiquez, early 20s, lower their corpse of Montezuma, the Aztec emperor, into a shallow grave by torchlight. Title card Mexico, 500 years ago. They gaze down at the emperor. He is dressed in ornate loincloth, gold bracelets, and anklets festooned with dangling bells. A medallion hangs by a gold chain from Montezuma's neck. The soldiers argue.
Listen to me. The medallion grants immortality. I'm going to have it. Now, be a good fellow and keep an eye out while I take care of business.
Antonio grips Martin's arm, holding him back.
Don't be a fool. If Cortez finds out, he will be very angry. You heard him. He said the medallion is evil and to bury it along with the Aztec emperor.
Martin tears his arm free.
Cortez is an idiot. I'm not going to bury something that can make me live forever.
Antonio smiles, smug, looking down at Montezuma.
A lot of good it did him.
Obviously, you weren't paying attention, but I saw Montezuma use it 3 times. He was struck down 3 times by Cortez with blows that would have killed a normal man, and 3 times the medallion glowed and stole the lives of those around him.
Antonio stares at the medallion, suddenly interested.
But Cortez warned us not to touch it.
That's because our fearless leader's afraid of it.
Antonio studies the medallion, reaches out tentatively, and examines it. The medallion has a smiling face of a joyful god on one side. He turns it over and shivers at the sight of the horrific image on the back.
What is this?
Martin watches Antonio's every move, while never taking his eyes off the medallion.
The Aztecs call it the Medallion of Life and Death. That is Ometechuli, the smiling face god of life on the front, and his counterpart, Mictlantechuli, the black-skulled god of death on the back.
Antonio doesn't look up, still fondling the strange artifact, fascinated.
So, in order to give life to its possessor, the medallion must take the life of another?
Martin nods.
That's right. A life for a life.
Antonio stares at the medallion, perplexed.
It would be wonderful to live forever, but how does it work?
It's activated with a command phrase. 3 times the Aztec leader used it before he was tied up and gagged by our soldiers.
Antonio's eyes narrow with resentment. His hand closes over the medallion. Martin reaches for a shovel sticking out of a pile of dirt.
You know the command to activate this medallion?
Martin picks up the shovel.
Look closely at the thing you hold in your hands, Antonio.
Martin points to a message engraved on the medallion.
That's it. It's right there, plain as day. You just have to know how to use it.
Antonio holds the medallion closer. He squints at the strange artifact.
Ah, now I see it. The words are so small.
Martin glares at the back of Antonio's head, devious.
Yes, such small words for such a great and powerful device.
Antonio reads the words engraved into the gold surrounding the face of the evil god.
Give me life from those who have fallen.
Antonio snatches the medallion and necklace from Montezuma's neck, eyeing it possessively. Martin raises shovel.
Eternal life.
Martin smacks Antonio over the head with the shovel. Antonio falls, groaning, dropping the medallion. Martin reaches down and picks it up, smiling wickedly.
Ah, yes, Antonio, eternal life, but not for you.
He holds up the medallion.
Now, I, Martin Martinez, am the sole possessor of the Medallion of Life and Death. Here's to a long and prosperous future.
Martin slips the medallion into his pocket, turns to walk away. Antonio grunts and starts to get up.
Martin, is that you? What happened? Did you get the medallion? Are we going to live forever?
Martin smacks him again with the shovel, harder. Antonio groans, then becomes very quiet. Martin takes out the medallion, admiring it, as it spins slowly in front of him, displaying its two faces.
I'm sorry, Antonio. Medallions like these are rare, and I was never good at sharing. You'll have to find one of your own.
He slips the medallion back into his pocket and walks away, gloating. Exterior, rural road, day. Monster truck racing along road, roaming from one side to the other. Title card, somewhere in the desert, present day. The truck is painted yellow with bright red and orange flames streaking across the hood with Desert Daredevil printed on the side of the door. Interior monster truck. A little girl, Kate Fausty, 5 years old, lying in the back seat, unbuckled, clutches a teddy bear in one arm and a blonde female doll wearing glasses and a polka dot dress in the other.
Me and Mrs. Beasley are tired of sitting. How about you, Teddy?
Kate crawls across the seat, stretching to peer out the front window. She leans ahead, tapping driver on the shoulder.
I've got to go to the bathroom.
The driver, Ricky Fausty, early 20s, a bimbo, texts a message while her new boyfriend, Lee Stauffer, late 30s, a rugged-looking cowboy, plays a loud shooter video game on a laptop. Lee barely looks up.
You making a pit stop?
Ricky rolls his eyes, frustrated, shoves phone into his pocket, looks at Kate.
We'll be to your dad's place real soon. Katie, honey, can you wait?
Kate shakes head, desperate. Ricky sighs. Lee looks at Kate.
Looks like your daughter is fit to bust. Find somewhere to pull over and let her relieve herself.
Ricky glares at Lee.
Fine.
They fail to see the message on a wooden sign, stuck at the angle in the middle of the road that reads, "Warning, this town condemned. Enter at your own peril." Exterior, monster truck. The truck knocks over the sign with a loud thump. Interior, monster truck. Ricky glances in the rearview mirror of a flattened sign.
Oh, what idiot would stick a sign in the middle of the road?
Lee pauses his game, listens. The sounds of something coming loose under the truck and dragging.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. Let me get out and take a look.
Ricky never slows down.
Don't worry, this truck is tough.
Kate whimpers as the truck hits bump. There's another loud thump. Sparks fly at the rear of the truck. The truck sounds much louder. The exhaust system appears in the road behind them.
Mommy, can you sing me a song? I'm scared.
Ricky pulls out cell phone, searches for a bit, then hands it back to Kate.
Here you go, sweetie.
Kate watches, disappointed, as song plays on cell phone.
I wanted to hear one from you, Mommy.
Lee eyes Ricky.
You just ruined a real expensive part of my truck.
Ricky shrugs.
You've got insurance, right? I'll just make a phone call and they'll send someone out to fix it. What's the number?
Lee glares at her, perturbed.
I think you're forgetting. This road we're on isn't on the map.
He opens map, examining it. Ricky snatches it out of his hand, throws it on the floor.
I know where I'm going. There's a little abandoned mining town up ahead. Billy, that low-down ex-husband of mine, brought me here on our honeymoon. Said it was less expensive and just as scenic as Hawaii. I could have shot him.
Lee picks up map, folds it slowly.
It seems like a pretty nice little town to me.
Ricky scolds at him.
Don't start with me, Lee Stauffer.
I'm just saying. Anyway, just try not to run over anything else, okay? Desert Daredevil is like family to me.
He puts his headphones on and goes back to his game. Exterior, ghost town. The truck pulls up and stops suddenly in a cloud of dust at the edge of town. Ricky and Lee get out of the truck. They survey the remains of what appears to be an abandoned mining town. A few shops still stand, barely. Large holes in the ground mark the spots where the other buildings once stood. Interior truck. Kate unhooks her belt, gets out of her seat, and places her doll inside it.
You wait here, Mrs. Beasley. Teddy and I will be right back.
Kate gets ready to jump down from the truck, pauses, scared by the significant distance on the ground.
Mom, I gotta go really bad.
Ricky goes to the truck, helps Kate down. Exterior ghost town. Kate stands next to Ricky, teddy bear clutched close to her. They survey the town. Ricky spots a renovated outhouse a ways down the street, points it out to Kate.
Come on, Bear, let's go potty.
Kate scampers down Main Street towards outhouse, pulls open door, flips inside, singing. Interior outhouse. Kate hangs Teddy over hook on inside of door. Exterior Main Street, moments later. A large, ugly black bird circles overhead. Lee squints up at the bird.
Vulture, that ain't a good sign.
Ricky holds her hand up, shielding her
Buzzard.
eyes from the sun.
I grew up in these
Buzzard.
parts. I think I know my breeds of birds.
Why do you insist on turning everything into an argument? You're just like every other ass I've ever had.
The ugly bird drops out of the sky. It smacks into the ground a few feet in front of the truck and disappears, leaving a small hole in the parched landscape. A moment later, another big, ugly bird appears in the sky, circling. It spirals downward, landing on the statue of a Revolutionary War hero who gazes majestically down Main Street as if keeping watch over the town. The bird eyes Ricky and Lee from its perch, suspicious. Suddenly, the bird lets out a squawk as the statue drops out from under it, disappearing with a thunderous crashing echo. Ricky and Lee look in direction of hole, puzzled.
That was really strange.
Ricky takes a picture of the spot with her cell phone.
Got it posted.
A few moments pass as they stare at her phone. She chuckles.
Glenn says he thought the Grand Canyon was a lot bigger.
Lee looks at her, confused.
Who's Glenn?
Ricky quickly becomes absorbed in his phone again.
Oh, hey, look at this. Ray says he just dropped his keys in the toilet. Isn't that a hoot?
Lee peers at her beneath the brim of cowboy hat.
I swear, I never seen nobody with so many friends as you got, darling.
Ricky smiles proudly.
It's all about networking, sweetie pie.
Lee lowers head, hurt.
Surprising you find any time for old Lee at all.
Ricky continues to text, barely looking up.
Did you say something, Lee, dear?
Lee shakes head glumly, walks back towards truck, climbs inside. He peers out the front window, depressed, as Ricky paces back and forth in front of the truck, talking and laughing into the phone. Lee watches her, frustrated. He glances at Mrs. Beasley and picks her up.
Confound it all. When it comes to understanding women, old Lee is about as puzzled as a polecat in a perfume shop.
Ricky suddenly runs up to the truck and climbs quickly into the back driver's seat.
Alan just tweeted me from Vegas. We can register for a free all-day spa discount if we arrive before 9 o'clock.
Lee sits up suddenly.
Well, don't just sit there. Let's get going.
Still texting furiously, Ricky slams her foot on the gas. The truck jumps forward, spitting gravel. Exterior road. Monster truck speeding away from town, swerving back and forth from one shoulder to the other, until it fades into the distance. Exterior outhouse moments later. Door of outhouse swings open. Kate appears, holding Bear. She looks about confused and worried.
Mom's new boyfriend?
She sees a cloud of dust far off down the road.
No, Mom, don't leave me again. I'll be better, I promise.
The dust fades away. Kate walks forlornly down the main street through town. She glances at faded and broken buildings, stopping periodically to peer down into holes of various shapes and sizes that descend into darkness. She walks over and stands at the edge of one large hole near small pull-behind trailer. Only one wall of an old jailhouse still stands, and next to it, an antique water pump. She tries out the pump. Water gushes out. Surprised, Kate lowers her head and takes a sip. Kate skips over next to hole, hugging Bear.
Don't worry, Teddy. Someone always comes for me. Someone will come.
She gazes down into the hole. The sound of voices and earth being moved, distant and muffled, echoes up from below. Series of shots. Kate pacing back and forth next to hole, drawing hopscotch game in road with stick, hopping slowly through it with Teddy as if teaching a baby, looking down the road hopeful and sun fading below the horizon.
It's getting late, Teddy. I hope something bad didn't happen. I bet Mom's worried sick about us.
Cut to exterior, Billy's house, dusk. A little box-shaped house with peeling paint, an old motorcycle and sidecar sits in the driveway. Monster truck pulls into driveway. Ricky and Lee jump down, arguing.
It's your fault we're late. You can't read a map.
Lee gazes at her.
My fault? You were the one who wanted to take all them pictures of holes in the ground and send off to your boyfriends.
She slams the door.
At least I have friends.
Lee winces at the sight, but recovers quickly, chuckling.
I always said your tongue was sharper than new barbed wire.
He follows close at her heels as she goes to the back door. He caresses her shoulder gently.
Let's not snap at each other.
She spins around and glares at him.
I wasn't snapping.
Lee rolls his eyes. Ricky catches the look.
I saw that.
Lee sighs, resigned. Ricky looks up at the truck.
Kate?
She quickly climbs up to the truck door, stares in, horrified. Looks down at Lee, then gasps in panic.
Kate! Oh my god, Lee, we forgot Kate.
Ricky sees door to house swinging open, and a man pushing an old woman in a wheelchair. The man is Billy Bone, late 30s, a short, stocky man, and his mother, early 80s. Billy says something to his mother and then walks quickly down the driveway, leaving her at the door to the house. Ricky stares at Lee.
You're the passenger. It was your responsibility to keep track of her.
What? I'm responsible? She's not even my kid.
Ricky glares at him.
What am I going to tell Billy?
Billy arrives. He stops a few feet away.
I think that's Billy. I'm Billy? I thought it was Billy's mother.
Oh, that's me. I'm sorry. Tell me what's wrong? Has something happened to Kate?
Ricky exchanges nervous glance with Lee.
Just take it easy, will you? Everything is all right. We just had a little mix up.
Billy looks up at the truck.
Where is she? Where's my daughter?
Billy's eyes fix on Ricky.
I know you don't like me, but can't we at least be civil to one another?
Billy glares at her, impatient.
I know what's going on here. What did you do with Kate? Drop her off somewhere? Trying to deny me a visitation again?
She looks about to cry.
Billy, it's not my fault. We stopped at an old mining town. She just had to go to the bathroom. And then I got a phone call. I didn't mean to. It was an accident.
Are you telling me you abandoned her in some strange town in the middle of the night?
Ricky breaks down, bawling.
Well, I didn't really abandon her.
Billy looks furious. He grabs Ricky's arm.
You take Mom back inside and get her something to eat. I'll go get Kate.
Lee climbs into the driver's side of the truck.
I'll take you. I know right where it is.
Billy climbs into the passenger side. The truck roars away. Ricky walks back up the driveway to Billy's mother.
Is everything okay?
Lee's just taking Billy to pick up Kate. Everything's fine.
Ricky pushes Billy's mother into the house. Exterior ghost town, night. The buildings are wrapped in a fog of darkness. Interior saloon. Kate is curled up with Teddy beside an old piano. She fidgets with his black buttoned eyes.
It sure is getting cold, isn't it, Teddy? I would light a fire for us, but I don't have any matches.
Kate stands, peers out into the darkness. Exterior Main Street. The sound of bell tolling outside. Kate jumps to her feet, startled. A light appears across the street, illuminating the stained glass windows of the church that where only a large hole had been. The bell in the steeple echoes joyfully through the town. The forms of several ghosts, all dressed very formally, drift towards the church. The sounds of the piano playing the wedding march now begins, softly at first, then louder. Kate watches the procession disappear through the front door of the church. She rushes across the street, dangling Teddy in one hand. She creeps up to the stairs to the front door, opens it a little, and peers inside. Interior church. A ghost wedding is in progress. Spectre groom and bride stand in front of the church. They are Angus McGee, a blustery red-headed Irishman, and Zen Chang, a slender Chinese woman with long black hair, late 30s. A country minister, early 70s, stands before them, reading from a Bible. The pews are filled with members of the wedding party, watching the ceremony. A pianist sits at the bench, wiping away tears with a handkerchief. She blows her nose. There is the sound of an explosion beneath the church. Suddenly, the whole church begins to shake. There is a rumbling noise. People begin to glance about, apprehensive. The minister stops speaking. Angus and Zen stare down at the floor, nervous. The pianist stands as if ready to bolt. The shaking and noise stops suddenly. The minister smiles reassuringly.
Sounds like our old friend Martin is at it again. I believe the danger is past. Now, let us resume the ceremony to wed this man and woman in holy matrimony, shall we?
One of the parishioners waves his hand.
Amen, Reverend. Amen.
Suddenly, the whole building lets out a nail-popping, board-splitting sigh, and the church tilts hard to one side. Pews slam against the wall, the parishioners spilling into the floor with each other, screaming. The pianist bolts for the door as the floor rips open and she falls through. The minister clings to a large wooden cross at the front of the church that rocks back and forth with each shifting movement. Angus and Zen rush towards the front of the church as several parishioners cling to pews like boats going down a waterfall as they descend through the widening crack in the floor. Kate stands in the doorway, mortified.
Angus, Zen, hurry!
Angus and Zen don't look at her, just keep running as if in slow motion, towards the only exit. The hole in the floor yawns open, wide as a whale's mouth, swallowing everything and everyone. The church sinks into the earth, disappearing into a black abyss. Exterior edge of hole, the church is gone. Kate crouches down, hugging Teddy to her, crying. Suddenly, she hears whispering behind her. Her head snaps up, then spins around. Angus and Zen stand several feet away, watching her. They look at her as if she does not belong.
What are you doing? How did you get here?
Angus moves towards her suddenly. Kate jumps up, hugs Teddy tighter, backing slowly away from him, afraid.
Please don't hurt me. I didn't mean to spy. I'm sorry.
Zen grabs Angus's arm. He stops.
It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong.
Kate wipes away a tear.
It was so sad. I thought weddings are supposed to be happy, like birthdays.
Zen gazes into the darkness.
It didn't work out that way for us.
Angus shakes head, remembering.
That was the worst day of my life.
I wish I could help fix it.
Thank you, child. But that was a very long time ago. I'm afraid there's some things in this world that can't be fixed.
Zen kneels down in front of Kate.
You poor little thing. What's your name?
Kate,
That's a pretty name. How old are you, Kate?
I'm 5, but I'll be 6 in 3 months.
Kate looks a little less scared, but keeps her eye on Angus nervously. Zen glances at Angus, perplexed, then back at Kate.
Where are your parents?
I had to potty, and when I came out, they were gone. Can you help me?
Kate studies the two, curious. Angus kneels down beside Zen. He musters his most pleasant smile through a full red beard. Kate suddenly reaches out her hand to touch the beard. Her hand passes right through it. She looks surprised. Angus looks at Zen, annoyed.
Did you see that?
You're a ghost.
The nerve of this lassie. Stuck her hand right through me.
Now don't get yourself all in a bunch, Angus. She's just a child. Imagine what it must be like to be left alone in a strange town at night. Besides, she's right. You're a ghost, and so am I. That's life. Or, well, you know what I mean.
Angus still looks annoyed.
Don't make excuses for the child. It's why today's youth are so spoiled. She's got to learn that it's not polite to stick your hand into a ghost's beard like he's a common lump of fog. It's not proper.
I'm sorry, sir. I won't ever do it again. It's just that I never met and I've never seen a real ghost before. I thought it would be more scary.
Angus lowers his hammer, scowls. He scrutinizes the girl, then glances at Zen.
I'm not sure. Did she just pay us a compliment or an insult?
Zen looks amused. The smile fades quickly.
A little girl like you shouldn't be all alone in a place like this.
Is this a dangerous town?
Zen looks into the darkness.
The ghosts aren't too dangerous, I guess. But then you have the occasional outlaw types.
Kate's eyes widen, fearful.
Really? What sorts of outlaws?
Angus leans closer to her, his face and voice filled with menace, teasingly.
Cutthroats and highwaymen and other forms of riffraff that come crawling out of the desert after dark. Even worse things that creep in the night, searching for anything living to devour in the darkness.
Kate hugs Teddy tighter, about to cry. She whimpers a little. Zen smacks Angus on the shoulder.
Angus, stop that. Now look what you've done. You frightened the child half to death with your stories.
Angus shrugs, apologetic. He gestures as if patting Kate on the head.
Oh, sorry?
Zen smiles gently at Kate.
Now don't you worry about a thing, Kate. We won't let anything happen to you.
Kate looks relieved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Zen sits next to Kate and nods for Angus to sit too. Angus smiles warmly at Kate.
That's a nice bear. Where did you get him?
My mommy gave it to me to keep me company while she was gone.
Zen studies Kate.
Gone. Where did she go?
Mommy told me that she was visiting a friend.
Zen exchanges concerned glances with Angus. She is about to ask her another question, but stops suddenly, seeing Kate yawn.
Oh, you poor little thing. You must be exhausted.
Kate looks up at her. Zen begins to sing a lullaby, softly. After a moment, Angus begins to sing with her. Kate closes her eyes, her arms wrapped around Teddy. Zen smiles down at her.
She's a lovely child, isn't she?
Angus nods.
She's even got red hair like me.
Kind of makes me wish we could have had a daughter like her.
Angus scowls bitterly.
We would have, too, if it hadn't been for that.
Zen holds up her hand, cutting him off.
There's nothing we can do about it now. By dwelling on what might have been, we're only hurting ourselves.
Angus grumbles, still resentful, and then gazes down at Kate fondly.
She is a sweet little thing.
Kate sighs in her sleep. Angus and Zen gaze into the distance at the horizon, fading away as the first light of morning appears. Exterior Main Street, dawn. Monster truck roars into town. It coughs and backfires and stalls in the middle of the street across the old train depot track. Billy and Lee jump down from the truck.
You go look for your daughter. I'll try to get this here truck running again. I ain't expecting any trains anytime soon, but we don't want to be out here very long when that sun starts to heat up.
Billy surveys town briefly. He sees what looks like a graveyard for abandoned vehicles a short distance ahead, amongst the ramshackle buildings.
I guess that's a good place to start.
He starts to walk in direction of the vehicles.
I'll get with you, partner, just as soon as I get Desert Daredevil back on his feet again.
Billy gives him a quick wave, keeps walking.
Kate? Hello, Kate?
Lee climbs back into the truck, pulls out some tools. He glances again in Billy's direction, just as Billy disappears from view into the vehicle graveyard.
Hope he finds her. Poor little girl.
He pauses, thinking.
Of course, then again, it might go better for me with Ricky if old Lee was the one to find Katie. As soon as I get this big buggy running, I'll go find that girl myself.
He opens the hood of the truck, goes to work. Exterior at edge of hole, dawn. Kate, still hugging Teddy, curled up several feet away from a large hole. She stands up and walks off down the road in the direction of vehicle graveyard. She spots a small pull-behind trailer parked next to a refurbished outhouse of what appears to be a small stone wall of an old jailhouse. There is still a large hole in the ground, suggesting what happened to the rest of the jailhouse. Kate goes up to the wall and sees a sign leaning against the wall. Quigley County Jail. She eyes an almost new, thick rope tied to the bars of the jail window. It extends across the ground and disappears into the hole. She takes the rope in her hand, creeping on her knees to the hole. She stares for a moment into the darkness. Far, far below, the sound of voices echo, and the clatter of a shovel digging into rock drift up to her. She turns to Teddy.
I think there's someone down there.
She looks sadly at Teddy.
Sorry, Teddy. This hole is too dark and scary for you.
She gives him a hug, trying to be brave. She props Teddy against the wall of the jailhouse. She walks to the edge of the hole and looks at the rope.
Oh, I can't. I'm too scared.
She glances at the trailer, thinking.
Hey, a trailer. Maybe there's someone inside that can help us.
She snatches up Teddy and rushes up to the trailer door. She knocks.
Is anybody there?
No answer. Kate turns the knob. The door opens.
Hello?
Kate disappears cautiously inside. Interior Professor Wilhelm Zeller's trailer. A mostly typical bachelor pad with clothes piled about. Several boxes of ramen noodles, bottled water, Spam, and baked beans are stacked on the floor. There are a few shovels and other mining tools arranged in one corner. Kate sits down at the table. She picks up an old package of foreign cigarettes, picks one out, and wrinkles her nose.
Mommy says smoking is bad.
She picks up the cigarette pack and drops it in the trash. She goes back to the table, picks up a thick tome, and tries to read title on cover, stumbling over the words.
A Brief Introduction to Archaeology by Wilhelm Selmer III.
She opens the book and looks through it, flipping through all the pages of text, bored.
No pictures? This is no fun.
Kate pushes the book away, yawning. She lowers her head and falls asleep, hugging Teddy. Interior Professor Wilhelm Zeller's trailer, 1 hour later. Professor Wilhelm Zeller, early 60s, a loud, squat, old-school German relic, limps inside, grumbling and groaning in pain. He is dressed in dirty miner's clothes and holds a pick in one hand. Wilhelm tosses pick against wall, cursing. Kate stirs a little. He pulls up pant leg. There is a puncture wound in one of his legs, oozing blood. He stares at the pick.
Us, you minus pick. Oh.
Are you Professor or am I? I'm sorry. I thought I'm Professor.
Oh, I thought I'm Wilhelm.
That's confusing. That is Professor Wilhelm, or is the same person. So that's confusing. It should have probably been designated as Wilhelm instead of Professor as I look at that.
Go for it. That's fine.
No, you go for it. You haven't spoken as much.
Yeah, go for it, Candace.
Sorry about that.
Candace, if you want, you can take over Jordan because she's saying there's some noise at her place.
Who?
So Jordan is Kate. Yeah, I think
is like playing guitar really loud.
I was wondering what that sound was. Every time you spoke, I was hearing something.
So I don't want to tell him to stop. But like.
Okay, well, one of the guys can take it. Justin or Edgar can take the person.
Yeah, Justin, go for Professor. Then I'll take over Kate for her until she's
acclimated.
Okay, go for it.
Curse you, minus pick! You have inflicted upon me a grievous, potentially fatal wound and placed the university's entire mission in jeopardy.
Kate sighs. Wilhelm turns quickly towards her, surprised.
What is this? Where did you come from?
Kate's head snaps up, startled. She jumps to her feet.
I'm sorry. I was just looking for someone. I got left behind.
Wilhelm's anger grows.
You invaded mine home. You entered without mine permission. You are a trespasser. I should have you prosecuted, you awful child.
Kate looks up at him,
I'm
terrified.
sorry.
Wilhelm
I'm s-
fumes. He snatches book from table, clutching it protectively. It's okay.
Don't play the childish innocence with me. I'm asking the questions here. Now, don't make things worse for yourself. What is your name?
Kate stares at him, trembling.
Kate.
Wilhelm eyes her skeptically.
Kate. Very well. Now, where are we getting somewhere?
Kate notices a large blood stain on Wilhelm's pant leg.
Is that blood on your pants?
Wilhelm glances down, winces.
You're hurt. What happened?
He examines book.
It was an accident. I got poked while I was climbing out of the hole. I will probably have to go home now before I get the gangrene on the lockjaw.
Kate stares at him, confused. Wilhelm eyes her.
Never mind. I will ask you questions. Now, what were you doing with mine book?
Kate stares at the book.
I didn't do anything, I promise. I thought it might have pictures.
Wilhelm calms a little, looking down fondly at the book.
Yes, pictures. The 5th edition of my book will have pictures. Plenty of photos. They will be in color, and there will be a DVD and a nice plastic suitcase in the book. It will be deluxe.
The sound of Billy's voice calling Kate's name from a short distance off interrupts their conversation and alarms Wilhelm. Kate leaps up, excited, rushes towards the door.
Daddy, I'm in here.
Wilhelm blocks Kate's path, glaring down at her.
What is this? You are not alone? I see. You mean to lull Professor Wilhelm into believing you wander into home accidentally and then ambush him. Very clever.
Kate punches Professor in the belly. It slips quickly around him as he clutches stomach, gasping for breath.
Daddy, help me.
Wilhelm stumbles after her. Exterior trailer. Billy appears behind rusted out pickup truck, runs to Kate, and they hug. Wilhelm bursts outdoor, mining pick clutched in hand. He limps a few steps towards Billy and falls over. He gets up quickly, using pick for support. Billy pushes Kate behind him, takes defensive posture.
So you are the accomplice who plotted the robbery of my domicile with this child. What have you to say for yourself?
Billy stares at Wilhelm, stunned.
Are you hurt?
Wilhelm glares at him, taking a limping step forward.
Yes, I have grievous injury. All right? I stabbed myself by accident by climbing out of mine.
Billy continues to study Wilhelm, curious.
Well then, please put away that stabbing tool before you hurt yourself with it a second time.
Wilhelm slowly lowers the pick, leaning it against the door of the trailer.
Very well, very well. That is a reasonable request.
Billy watches him warily.
Edgar, can you take over for Billy, please?
Yeah. No, I'm loving Justin doing both those parts. It's actually
okay.
Yeah, don't volunteer me.
All right. Continue.
Good job.
Thank you. Now, can I help you with anything? I know how to make a tourniquet.
Wilhelm waves him away.
No. I have already applied the direct pressure. The blood she has nearly stopped. I guess you've already met my daughter. I'm Billy Bone. I am Wilhelm Zeller the Third.
Billy pulls Kate slowly out of hiding.
Did he say the third? Oh gosh, that means there could still be 2 more like him running around.
Kate eyes Wilhelm's clothing, curious.
Are you a miner?
Hardly. I am senior professor of archaeology and anthropology.
Kate looks confused.
What?
You know, like Indiana Jones, tombs and mummies and curses and stuff.
Wilhelm eyes Billy, annoyed.
I am here digging at the Quinley Town site, endeavoring to collect artifacts for next year's exhibit of the Old West, hosted by the university.
Billy walks cautiously up to Wilhelm and shakes his hand.
It's nice to meet you, Professor. I'm sorry if my daughter startled you earlier. She's had a very traumatic experience.
Kate steps up to Wilhelm, peering at a bulge in the pocket of his miner's coat.
What's that?
Wilhelm opens up his pocket, sticks his hand in, draws out a large nugget of gold. Billy and Kate eye it, stunned.
It's real. Go ahead, child. Hold it in your hands.
Sounds so creepy.
Hold this gold, child. You'll like it.
He gives the nugget to Kate. She marvels at it. Billy is speechless for a moment.
You got that here?
Suddenly, they are interrupted by Martin's voice, loud, echoing from deep in the hole.
Wilhelm, what's taking you so long? Is your injury serious?
Wilhelm calls down into the hole.
Quite serious, I'm afraid. I will take a day's resting and see if I can recover.
Martin's grumbles echo upward.
Wonderful. Now what am I supposed to do?
Kate comes to the edge of the hole, looks down.
Who is that?
That is Martin Martinez. He owns the mine. I'm helping him with a little project of his, and he allows me to do my history excavation work. What do you call it? A symbiotic relationship?
Can I help too?
Oh, Kate, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Kate looks disappointed, pleading.
Please, Mom never lets me do anything fun.
Billy looks at Wilhelm.
I don't know. I think the professor wants us in his way. I don't think the professor wants us in his way.
Wilhelm ponders a moment, appearing to soften.
I apologize for being so gruff earlier. Actually, I could use your help.
He smiles down at Kate, looks to Billy questioningly.
If it is all right with your father, of course. I should tell you, however, Miss Kate, that Martin, the man I work for, is a ghost.
Kate looks less surprised than expected. Wilhelm looks disappointed.
Does this not frighten you?
Kate shrugs.
I actually met 2 ghosts last night. They were really friendly.
Come on, ghosts? Oh, yes. This town is filled with spirits and specters. Most come out at night.
Martin shouts again from hole.
Are you talking to someone, Professor?
Wilhelm calls down into the hole.
I have acquired new help, Mr. Martinez. I will send them right down.
He limps back into the trailer and comes out with 2 shovels, hands them to Billy and Kate.
Your assistance is much appreciated. Mr. Martinez promises there is more gold to be had, and I will give you credit in National Geographic when we make great discovery. Now come, please. There is much work to do.
Wilhelm steadies the rope. Billy starts down, Kate's arm wrapped around his neck as they descend from view. Interior mine. Extreme excavation has left sections of the ceiling very thin, and light shines through the holes where objects have fallen in from above. Remains of these objects are scattered around the floor of the tunnel, most damaged beyond recognition, others covered in rubble. Martin and elderly ghost dressed in miner's gear studied a map of the mine. Billy digs away fallen rock with a shovel and pick. Kate stands next to him, admiring a pretty rock. Seeing an object mixed in with the rubble, Billy bends down and picks it up. He studies a badly damaged item, puzzled.
Looks like a part of an old water wheel.
Martin stops reading the map, looks up. He eyes the artifact for a moment.
No surprise there, my friend. This town had a really nice mill, but they built it over the mine and it fell in. I warned them not to do it, but you know how stubborn people can be.
Wait a minute. they built the town on ground they knew wasn't stable? That seems a little on the crazy side. Are you sure that's what happened?
Kate suddenly pipes up.
I know.
Martin looks at her.
Oh?
I know what happened. Zen and Angus told me about it. They said the town started to get swallowed up because a shellfish crazy man kept digging and digging and digging and wouldn't stop.
Martin shifts his eyes, evasive.
I don't know that I would put too much weight in any story those two busybodies might concoct.
Billy studies Martin, uncertain. He looks down at Kate.
Did they tell you anything else about the town or the mine, Kate?
Kate thinks hard.
I don't remember, but I did see a ghost wedding and heard an explosion and the whole floor opened up and Zen and Angus and the minister fell in and
Martin bursts out laughing, cutting off Kate's tail.
What a wonderful little story, my dear.
He eyes Billy.
Your daughter has quite an imagination, sir. Maybe someday she will write a book.
Kate looks up at Billy, perplexed.
But I really did see a ghost wedding. I did.
Martin pats Kate's head, patronizing.
Of course you did.
He quickly opens map.
Now, I've been studying the map. If we all put in a little overtime, we should get to the chamber with all of the gold in about a day, maybe 2.
Gold? Really? Do you think we might strike it rich?
Martin appears absorbed in the map again.
Oh, I'm certain of it, Billy boy. Mark my words. We're on the cusp of something big. I can feel it in my bones. And my bones, as you might be interested to know, are buried where the gold is buried. You, my friend, are going to be very rich young man soon.
Billy begins to dig with enthusiasm.
Come on, Kate. If this works out, I'll be able to buy you that pony you've always wanted.
Kate jumps up and down, thrilled.
Oh, Daddy, a real pony of my very own? Don't they cost lots?
Martin smiles ingratiatingly. I'm sorry, I don't know that word. I've never seen that word before.
Got her. You got it. Sounds good.
You find that gold, sweetie, and your daddy will be able to buy you a whole ranch and fill it with ponies.
She snatches up another shovel and begins digging with him. Martin watches, pleased. Exterior Main Street, a few hours later. Lee, his clothes and face covered with grease, looks frustrated as he lowers hood on truck.
Well, old Lee ain't doing much good here. Take a break from this and see if I can round up the little girl.
He stretches, thinking.
I bet if I could be the one to find Katie first, that I would get back in Ricky's good graces again, at least for a day or two.
He climbs into the truck, picks out Mrs. Beasley, and climbs down.
She's probably going to be wanting you.
He suddenly snaps his fingers, remembering something.
Carnations, I almost forgot. Katie's birthday's coming up.
He runs around to the back of the truck and climbs inside.
I don't think Ricky would mind if I gave Katie her present a little early.
Interior truck bed. A large silver toolbox accompanies about a third of the bed. Lee snaps open the lid and reaches inside, pulling a new, smaller version of the monster truck out of the toolbox. He holds it in one hand, a remote in the other.
Desert Daredevil Jr. This ought to cheer her up some and might be just the thing to coax her out.
He flips the lid shut on the toolbox and slides off the back of the truck into the street. He puts the little truck on the road and operates the remote, making the car do wheelies and backflips, clearly amused.
Boy, wish I had one of these when I was a kid.
He picks it up and starts looking in the abandoned buildings.
Kate Fausty, don't be afraid. It's old Lee, your mom's boyfriend. I've come to take you home. I haven't brought you a gift.
Lee puts the car back down on the ground and starts driving it around with the remote. He appears mesmerized.
No little kid can resist a remote-controlled Desert Daredevil supercharged replica monster truck.
He continues walking through town, the truck zipping back and forth in front of him. He stops and reads a sign, Caleb's Happy Trail Saloon, and walks inside, whistling a cowboy tune. Interior saloon. Lee walks through the saloon, gazes with interest at the antiquated equipment and old bottles of whiskey, some empty and some still full, behind the bar.
Kitty, honey, you in here?
He sits down at the piano and plays a cowboy song, singing along to the music. He stands and walks around the tables, touching the furniture lovingly.
This place has real character. With a little paint and some TLC, I could make it shine again.
He puts his truck at the bar and sits down. He studies the bottles of booze arranged along the wall. He stands and walks behind the bar. He takes down a bottle and examines it.
1877. I wonder if this stuff still has any kick left.
He looks behind the bar, rummaging about. He places a shot glass on the counter, opens one of the bottles, and pours himself a whiskey. He drinks it down in one gulp, makes a satisfied noise.
Whee! Give me another.
He pours another drink, downs it, sets up pyramid of shot glasses about halfway down the bar, picks up remote and drives remote truck down counter, crashing into the glasses, sending them flying in all directions, smashing on the floor. He pours himself another drink, trying without much success to back up the toy truck. He drives off the bar and strikes the floor with a bang. Lee staggers towards it, alarmed. He snatches it up and hugs it like an infant.
Don't die, baby. Uncle Lee is sorry. He won't ever treat little monster truck like that again.
He sets Mrs. Beasley and the truck on the bar, then slides down behind it and out of sight, dragging the remote off the counter and activating the truck. The monster truck lurches forward and falls off the back of the bar. Lee lets out a loud groan as the truck strikes him on top of the head. Mrs. Beasley sits on top of the bar, silent. Exterior edge of hole. Zen and Angus stand looking down into the hole. She examines the rope worriedly.
Kate couldn't have climbed down there. It's much too dangerous. She just couldn't have.
Angus shakes his head, worried.
He's 5 years old. I, too, was once young and foolish.
Zen peers down into the darkness. Wilhelm peers out through the trailer door, eavesdropping. Trailer door suddenly swings open. Wilhelm stands in the doorway, holding Teddy, his lower leg wrapped in an enormous gauze bandage.
If you are looking for the girl and her father, they are down in the mine assisting Martine. It is where I would be too, had I not inflicted this grievous wound upon myself.
Angus nods, grateful.
Thank you, Professor.
Zen motions to Angus.
Come on, we gotta find her.
They descend quickly into the hole. Wilhelm looks on, disappointed. After a moment, he limps to the edge of the hole and stands looking down into it, depressed. Interior mine chamber. Martin folds up the map, sticks it into his pocket. Billy, pushing aside the rubble, strikes something hard with his shovel. He bends down to examine it. It is a female left arm, made of marble.
What is this?
Martin looks at the arm, then away quickly, evasive.
Oh, find something, have you?
Kate rushes over to Billy, staring at the arm.
It's an arm.
Martin walks slowly over, interested.
Yes, I think you're right.
Kate looks around and then begins pointing, excited. A few feet away, a marble hand sticks out of the rubble. Kate grabs it and pulls. She holds up a right arm, dancing about.
Look what I found.
Kate hands the arm to Billy. He stares at the two arms together, amazed. Martin comes closer.
It must have fallen off of one of the mayor's statues. That man loves his statues.
Billy continues to examine the arms.
These arms belong to a woman. They look ancient. I wonder what happened to the rest of her.
Martin frowns.
I haven't a clue.
Billy's eyes suddenly light up.
Wait a minute. Of course. The Venus de Milo.
Kate stands on tiptoes trying to touch one of the arms.
Who?
Martin smirks, scoffing.
Really now? You think those are the missing arms of the Venus de Milo? I think it's time you went up for some fresh air.
Martin takes the arms from Billy, who watches him.
Nah, you're probably right. But wouldn't that be something?
Martin walks away from him and places the arms carefully against the wall.
They're nice anyway.
Kate studies statue arms.
The professor, he would know.
She's right. Professor Wilhelm would know if they were the real thing.
Martin ignores Billy, looking down sweetly at Kate.
I'll tell you what. We'll just set them aside for now, and maybe I'll let you go take one home as a gift for you for being such a good helper. Would you like that?
Kate nods, thrilled. Billy studies Martin, skeptical. He goes back to digging.
I hope we find that gold soon. My arms are getting sore.
Kate holds out her hand, displaying blister.
Look, Daddy, I'm getting a boo-boo.
Billy examines it. Martin feigns compassion.
I would love to help you, but alas, I'm a ghost. I can't hold out a shovel. That's one of the drawbacks to being corporeal. On the good side, you never get hungry or have to waste all that time with sleep and getting your teeth cleaned.
Billy pulls more dirt aside to reveal an opening into a large chamber. He crawls through and surveys the room. Interior second chamber. Miners' tools are piled inside a mining cart nearby. The scattered bones of several skeletons litter the floor. Kate spots a large object covered in a drop cloth in the far corner of the room. She runs over to it and pulls aside the cloth, revealing a familiar bronze statue.
Look at this. It's a man made of stone.
Billy stands looking at the statue, stunned.
All right. Now, this is the one I'm certain about. That's the thinker. I'm sure of it. How the blazes did he get down here?
Martin strolls up casually beside them, feigning surprise.
I haven't the faintest idea.
Billy touches the statue.
It can't be real.
Kate climbs up on it and gives it a hug.
He's so cool.
Martin chuckles, comes closer.
I bet you'd like to take him home too, wouldn't you?
Kate nods, admiring the statue.
This is weird. Beyond weird. What are these major pieces of art doing down here?
Martin looks ahead towards the exit tunnel on the opposite side of the chamber.
I'm sure it's exactly what you just said. They're obviously fakes. They don't even look very good.
Billy glances at Martin.
You're an expert on fine art, aren't you?
Martin, looking evasive, points ahead.
No time for dilly-dally. Let's get a move on, you two.
Kate climbs down off the statue. She looks up at Billy.
I'm hungry.
Billy looks down at her fondly. Martin frowns.
Tighten that belt up of yours a notch. We've still got some serious digging ahead of us before anyone gets fed.
Billy sticks his shovel into the dirt at the statue's feet.
Line up a little, Martin. Kay and I aren't ghosts. We need to eat. Come on, kid.
Billy takes her hand, leading her back in the direction of the exit that leads up to the surface. Martin watches after them.
Sure, go ahead. Enjoy your lunch. I'll just wait here.
Martin calls out to them.
Oh, Billy, when you come back, bring the dynamite, would you? I would speed things on a little.
Billy stares at him, nervous.
Okay. Are you sure that's safe?
Martin blows him off.
Of course. I have many years of experience making underground explosions.
Kate eyes Martin, interrupted before she can speak.
Talk to Wilhelm. He knows where the dynamite is stored.
Billy nods and leads Kate away. Interior chamber. Looking up hole, Billy takes a good hold of the rope. Kate's arms are wrapped around his neck, gripping tightly.
All right, hang on tight. Ready?
Kate nods.
You're not going to take that little girl up like that, are you?
Startled, Billy spins with Kate on his back. Zen and Angus stand a few feet away in the shadows, watching with disapproval.
It seems like a damn fool idea to me.
Zen slugs Angus in the arm.
Don't swear. The child?
Angus lowers head a little, embarrassed. Billy stares at them in disbelief.
Hey, honey, are these the two ghosts you were telling me about?
Kate waves.
Hi, Angus. Hi, Zen.
Billy reaches out his hand towards Angus to shake hands. Angus doesn't offer his hand.
Sorry, I don't do handshakes.
Kate whispers to Billy.
He's a ghost, Daddy. Remember?
Oh, right. Well, thank you anyway so much for taking care of my daughter. She tells me you both have beautiful singing voices.
Angus and Zen smile, pleased. Kate walks up closer to the ghosts.
That old mind is so cool. We found a statue and a lady's arms.
The two ghosts stare at each other, horrified and confused.
You found arms?
A murder? In Quigley Town? Then, quickly, we must alert the sheriff at once.
They begin to rush away. Billy calls back to them.
No, there hasn't been any murder. The lady's arms were made of stone. Marble, I think.
Kate giggles, amused. Zen and Angus look relieved.
We're going up to get a bite to eat.
Kate looks eager.
Professor Wilhelm has lots of food. I saw it in his trailer.
Good. Maybe he'll be willing to share with us when he hears about these here marble arms.
Billy smiles warmly at Angus and Zen.
I don't suppose I'd go see much, but you're welcome to join us.
Angus and Zen come closer.
You go ahead. We'll follow you up.
Billy starts climbing the rope with Kate clinging to his back. Zen and Angus follow, their eyes glued to Kate like anxious parents. As they disappear up the hole, Martin stands in the shadows just inside the opening of the tunnel, watching. Exterior, Wilhelm's trailer. Zen and Angus wave to Billy and Kate and leave. Billy and Kate watch them go. Interior, Wilhelm's trailer. Kate and Billy sit at small table as Wilhelm hobbles about, opening up nondescript cans and boxes of food that look like leftover rations from World War II.
I'm hungry.
I've got plenty of pork and beans and dried cereal. Eat up.
Kate makes a face.
Pork and beans and cereal? Seriously?
It looks like you've had this food in storage for a while. You sure this stuff is still edible, right, Professor?
Wilhelm looks offended.
It's miner's food. It never gets old.
Kate looks at him, relieved.
Oh, all right.
She eats, hungrily. Billy eats too, more cautiously. Wilhelm watches them, pleased. Exterior Wilhelm's trailer, late afternoon. Billy and Kate sit by a small campfire roasting marshmallows. Wilhelm changes his gauze.
Oh, how is your mom? I mean, is everything going all right?
Kate jumps a little as her marshmallow catches on fire. She pulls it out of the flames, watching it smoke.
I think so. We don't talk that much.
Billy nods.
Yeah, she's probably really busy.
Kate nibbles her marshmallow.
She is. She's always on her phone. She's got so many friends you wouldn't believe it.
Ricky, I mean, your mom, was always a real people person.
Kate pulls off the rest of the marshmallow and plops it into her mouth, chewing noisily. Wilhelm stands, hobbles over to tend the fire. Kate walks over and sits on Billy's lap.
This sure is fun. Can we sleep outside tonight?
Billy peers into the darkness.
I don't think that's a good idea. There's probably lots of hungry animals roaming about at night. I don't want you to get eaten. Your mom would never forgive me.
Kate ponders this.
I wonder why Mom never came back for me.
Billy gazes at her, smiling comfortingly.
I'm sure she had a very good reason.
Kate reaches for another marshmallow. She pops it into her mouth, chewing and thinking.
Well, it's getting kind of late. We better get to bed. Martin's gonna be expecting us bright and early.
Wilhelm yawns and pours a bucket of water on the fire, putting it out. He escorts Kate and Billy back to the trailer and inside. Wilhelm comes back outside, takes off shirt, begins washing himself at water pump. Angus and Zen appear, gazing towards the trailer. Exterior Wilhelm's trailer, later. A tiny wisp of smoke floats up from the fire into the darkening sky. The trailer door creaks open softly. Kate steps out gingerly, clutching Teddy in one arm.
I guess we've got to go to the potty on our own. Daddy's sleeping. We'd better not wake him up. Mommy always says not to bother her when she's asleep.
Kate, fully dressed in her pajamas and boots and wearing Wilhelm's large miner's helmet, creeps outside. She turns on the helmet's lantern, sending a beam of light into the ground ahead of her.
That's better.
She starts off towards the outhouse, disappears inside. She comes out and starts back towards the trailer, but then sights Zen walking in the falling darkness towards town.
Zen?
Zen walks quickly, as if on a mission.
Zen, would you sing to me? I can't sleep.
Kate looks towards Zen longingly. Kate hesitates, looks at the trailer, flustered, then runs off after Zen, creeping along quietly behind her down the road into town. She sees Zen disappearing into a shop.
Zen, wait, I'm coming.
She walks towards the shop, curious. Exterior ghost town, night. As the sun sets, the ghosts and buildings of the town fade into view, slowly materializing as they once were before the disaster. The town bustles with activity. Kate pauses, caught up in the spectacle. Lights blink on, up and down the main street. Merchants appear, hawking their wares to townspeople. Kate walks through the town, observing the activity in the buildings. She spots Angus in the blacksmith shop, dressed in a leather apron and banging a red-hot horseshoe into shape. A pile of iron railroad spikes stacked on the table in front of him. Kate, looking scared, rushes towards the door of Zen's shop. She stands on tiptoes, gazing through the small window in the door. Interior of seamstress shop. Zen and an old woman sit inside, sewing the lace on the beautiful wedding dress.
I think someone should arrest that awful man.
Zen looks at her, alarmed.
Now, Grandma, that seems a little harsh. He hasn't done anything illegal.
I mean it. Before he came and started digging everything up, people cared about each other. Now the only thing people care about is themselves.
People are what they are, I suppose. I don't think you can put all of the blame on Mr. Martinez for that.
The old woman sews furiously, glares out window.
Always looking for the silver lining in every situation, aren't you, Zen? Well, I ask you this. What good is silver and gold if you're dead?
Zen glances, concerned, out of the shop at a crowd gathering the opposite side of the street. Old woman slips up beside her.
Look at them. Those fools never learn. This fine little town is being destroyed in front of them, but they're too blinded by their own greed.
Old woman and Zen stare through the glass, sad.
All right, we'll bookmark it right there, town square. All right, let's take a intermission and use the bathroom, stuff your face, whatever you gotta do.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna probably have to step out, but I can talk to Joel and Valerie and say my thoughts so far, if that's
that would be amazing.
Okay, cool. I actually like the setup a lot. I knew the title was Ghost Town, but I kind of wasn't thinking about that, and then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, they're all ghosts. So I like how that wasn't on page one, like you first showed who the characters were, and then you slowly got into the meat of it, which is the ghosts living in the city.
Very good.
So yeah, I'll try and read the rest on my own later when I get a chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. And it's
Well, I
Okay.
like the characterization of everyone. Definitely the length was a little longer than I was anticipating. I can't stay for the whole read, unfortunately, but I do like the energy, and
yeah.
it feels like a good balance of giving the direction, but also letting us fill in for the lack sometimes.
Good. You guys are, it was a fun script to write. But it's even more fun when you hear you guys doing voice. I mean, bringing that voice, that action to it, and the acting.
And I think the way the characters are written invited that. That's why I actually enjoyed Justin doing both those characters back to back. It was actually a lot of fun to watch.
It's good characterization because it makes it clear what physicalities I need to adopt for each character.
Yeah, same. It's I mean, obviously I was playing a woman on the other one, so I just used my own voice. I didn't want to sound like a girl on purpose. I thought that would just ruin the tone and everything. Cool. All right, then I guess I'll just jump off here. So hopefully the rest of the read goes smooth, and maybe I'll check out the video later.
All
All
right.
right, thank you.
I'll head out. Thank you guys.
Oh yeah, so I'll have a good one. Bye.
One thing like I think I would change if I were to like write it again is like the stuff in the beginning. I think I'd make it more clear that these are conquistadors stealing this item from the Aztecs. And if it's like I don't think I like take out some of the stuff about the object itself being evil, just because of like some of the stuff I've learned in class about especially like the colonial time period and how like a lot of the stuff like was stolen and like that a lot of like the European people like believed it to be evil and really it wasn't. So I think I'd probably make that more clear. So that's kind of what was going on. There was more of like a thievery and a misuse of the item than like.
It's okay. Yeah, I think that the intro just maybe we could even tighten it up a little bit too.
Yeah.
A little bit. And then some adjustments to that.
Yeah.
To make it a little more clear that they are conquistadors.
Yeah, and that
a little more clarity on the item itself.
Yeah. Because I'm just like I was just thinking about like because I'm taking a class in African art right now, and like we're talking in class a lot about like the stuff that was like stolen and like a lot of like misrepresentation of items and stuff. So I felt like and like I know like a lot of that happened in Latin America too, and that was also colonized. So I kind of want to make that a little more clear that it wasn't like the item was like evil or anything. That it was more like sort of like they were like basically tomb raiders.
The individuals
like,
themselves were.
And they were like misusing these. Yeah. And that was just like bugging me a little bit. Especially with like class and everything.
Yeah. That stuff, all this is good feedback from everybody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of.
Yeah.
You can't be. No writer's very objective about their own work.
Oh,
you're too close to it. We're both like too close to it. It's good to have the feedback of other people.
For sure, yeah.
Oh, so Justin and Aruna left. Okay. Okay, Jordan too. Oh wow. Okay.
Did Jordan leave or does she want to retake over Kate?
No, she's going to. Oh dang. All right. Guess somebody's gonna have to do double duty then. We're gonna finish it. What do we have? So no Justin. Edgar still okay.
Yeah, although I have a virtual doctor's appointment at 7 o'clock, so I can only stay on until then, unfortunately.
Okay, 7 p.m. Okay, we should be done by then.
Okay, sounds good.
You can assign it to us as we go. If you can't figure it all out. Like public only, so you see an empty spot.
Yeah, we just kind of have to. Let's see. We'll just have to fill in the gaps. I'm not okay. Let's see, Minister Martin.
You just call the plays as we go, since you would know better.
Yeah, let's just go as we'll just jump in. We don't really have too much since Edgar has to go too. I have time to figure it out. Yeah, so just jump in as needed. Also, Joel and Val, if you guys can jump in and fill in the gaps too.
Sure thing. Yeah.
It's gonna be a team effort to finish it, and then I'll also jump in too. So yeah.
Sounds good.
Greg, whenever you're ready.
Let's see. Some of the narration.
Exterior town square. Martin, dressed like a politician in his finest attire, stands atop a wooden crate beside the statue, shouting at a crowd of men, women, and children gathered around, barking out his message.
We must not let irrational fears stand in the way of progress. There is gold in them, their hills, as they say. If God hadn't wanted us to have it, he wouldn't have put it there.
Several people nod, impressed. The mayor, mid-60s, dressed in a nice suit and tie, sporting a well-groomed beard and mustache, stands at the front of the crowd. He wipes sweat off the back of his neck with a handkerchief and hands the hanky to a child standing nearby.
There's nothing irrational about it, Mr. Martinez. Your mind is making living in this town a greater hazard by the day.
Martin scowls at the mayor.
Don't start with me.
I will start with you. You must refrain from any more digging until a safety inspection is carried out.
Martin looks unmoved.
I've carried out an inspection of my own. I can personally assure you that there is nothing to be concerned about in the least.
The town barber pushes his way to the front. He looks angry, pointing his shears in a menacing way at Martin.
Tell
that to my brother.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, sorry.
That's all
Tell
right.
that to my brother-in-law and his family. He worked at the feed store for 27 years. I remember the day he left work and he and his horse fell right into a hole in the middle of the road. Your explosive and digging caused his death.
I'm so sorry for your loss, sir. Truly am. Unfortunately, accidents happen.
What a dick. Oh, your brother's dead? Oops. The barber glares at Martin. Martin pulls a nugget of gold out of his pocket and tosses it to the barber.
Here, give this to the wife and children of your brother-in-law. Hopefully that'll soften the blow a little.
The barber's eyes lighten up. He stares at the gold greedily. Suddenly, his face becomes sly.
What about Fireball, Mr. Martinez? He was a most rare horse and very expensive. He was his only means of transportation. They may starve without him.
Martin frowns. He sighs, understanding. He takes out another nugget and tosses it to the man. The mayor snatches the gold out of the man's hand. He holds it up in his clenched fist.
This is an outrage, Martinez. This man does not want your gold.
Barber peers at the mayor.
Actually,
he wants what all of us want, for this madness of yours to stop.
The barber snatches back his gold, irate. He stalks away, moving quickly through the crowd, and crosses the street. He disappears inside his barber shop. The blinds drop. The mayor glares at Martin.
I see what you're up to, Mr. Martinez, but you need to understand something. You can't buy the good people of this town or bribe us with your promises of riches.
Several members of the crowd grumble at the mayor, resentful. Martin jumps down from the soapbox.
And I say this to you with all due respect, Mayor Bippy. This is the price of progress. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The gold I'm finding in that mine is going to make this town thrive again.
Martin comes out into the audience, removing a pouch from his pocket. He displays several small nuggets of gold. He hands one to a child.
One for you, Timmy. Don't spend it all in one place.
The child stares at it, marveling, sticks it in his mouth. Mother pulls it out, alarmed. Martin hands another nugget to an old woman in a wheelchair.
Another for you, Grandma Ruth.
The old woman gives him a toothless grin, and Martin frowns.
Buy yourself a set of teeth.
Martin hides a look of disgust, continues walking through the crowd, handing out nuggets. The crowd begins chanting Martin's name, excited.
Don't let the mayor and a few of his cronies on the town council tell you can't have what's rightfully yours. I would make each of you millionaires, but the mayor says close the mines.
Several people glare at the mayor. The mayor boldly stands his ground.
I ask you, my friends, what kind of government is that? What happened to by the people and for the people?
Martin slips away, smirking, as several members of the crowd close in on the mayor, shouting. Bored, Kate keeps walking. She passes several other shops, a general store, a barber shop, and a bank. She shivers.
I'm cold.
She heads back in the direction of Wilhelm's trailer. Interior Wilhelm's trailer. Kate enters, hearing Wilhelm snoring, sees him seated at a table, head resting on arms. Kate squeezes past him, sits down on a small pile of blankets made into a bed on the floor near Billy's cot. She lies down and closes her eyes. Wilhelm makes a strange noise in his sleep. Kate's eyes snap open. She peers at him, nervous. Picking up Teddy, she stands up by cot, looking down at Billy.
Daddy, can I sleep with you?
Billy grunts, still asleep, turns over.
Daddy?
She pulls aside the covers a little, scrawls into the bed beside Billy, closes her eyes, contented. Interior Wilhelm's trailer, the next day. Billy is dressed in his mining gear and helmet. He and Wilhelm are rigging each other several sticks of dynamite to a plunger. He looks up at Kate, who is staring at him.
What's that?
Dynamite, it blows holes in things. It's going to make our job a lot easier from now on.
Kate looks worriedly at the explosives.
I'm afraid you're going to die.
Billy gets up from the table, walks over to her. He gives her a hug.
Everything will be fine. Martin knows what he's doing. Right, Professor?
Wilhelm pats Kate's head, reassuring.
Mr. Martinez assures me he is an expert with the demolitions. However, I just hope he does not blow up any artifacts in his search for more gold. This would not please the university.
Billy picks up the dynamite and plunger, glances back at Kate.
Well, I guess it's time.
Kate grabs Teddy, thinks a moment, then hands him to Wilhelm.
You'd better stay here, Teddy. The place where we're going is no place for a stuffy. You could get hurt.
Billy picks up a shovel, leaning next to the door. He and Kate step out of the camper and into the bright sunlight. They walk past the jailhouse wall and start down the rope, disappearing into the hole. Interior mine, later. Billy leads Kate along the main passage, the light from his miner's helmet lantern throwing eerie shadows on the stone walls and ceiling. Kate also wears a helmet. It's too big, but keeps tipping down over her face so that she is constantly pushing it back up out of her eyes.
Martin!
Mr. Martinez!
Their voices echo in the corridors of the mine as they reach the place where they stopped digging the previous day. They look about, perplexed.
Where's Mr. Martinez?
Billy puts down the dynamite and plunger, breathing heavily. Suddenly, Martinez's ghost pops out of the wall behind them.
Ooh!
Billy and Kate are startled badly. Martin chuckles, pleased.
Ah, that never gets old.
Kate is close to tears.
That wasn't funny. Please don't do that ever again.
Martin pats her head.
Now, you wouldn't take away an old ghost's only form of entertainment.
That was a mean trick.
Martin feigns regret.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He eyes the dynamite with interest.
I see you found my stash of explosives all right. Now we can start to make some real headway toward finding that gold.
Martin grins, pleased. Billy looks at him.
One thing I don't understand. Why did you hide it all in the old outhouse behind the saloon?
Martin gets a faraway look in his eyes.
It's complicated. The mayor had the mine sealed. He ordered the sheriff and his deputies to seize all of my dynamite. I remember that old outhouse had been condemned the week before due to a most unfortunate accident involving the mayor's favorite aunt who was visiting him from Boston.
Accident?
It's a long story. I won't bore you with it right now.
Angus and Zen appear behind Martin suddenly.
Of course you won't, because you caused that poor woman's death.
Billy gasps.
What?
Martin glares at Angus.
It's true. He ignored all of us and kept excavating and caused these enormous explosions. The ground beneath the old outhouse gave way.
That's terrible.
Everyone looks at him critically. Martin's eyes shift nervously. He turns to Zen. He turns on them.
You make it sound like I killed that old woman on purpose.
Zen doesn't flinch.
Well, didn't you?
The mayor turned the townspeople against me, filled them with lies, told them I was endangering everyone with my reckless mining methods.
That's all true. You were. I was there when the town council met. I was one of those who voted to have your madness reined in. I suppose you knew that, and that's why you gave me that awful scowl each time we passed on the street.
I resent this. You're painting a very unflattering picture of me.
Angus's eyes seem to bore into Martin's.
What is inside this mind that makes you so obsessed with it after so many years?
Zen looks at Martin, disgusted.
The gold has poisoned his mind, Angus. That much is obvious. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. He hasn't for a very long time.
Angus doesn't seem satisfied. Suddenly, his eyes pop.
No! Get away from that!
The others turn quickly around to see Kate squatting down by Dynamite, her hands on the plunger.
Is this what makes it go?
They look at Kate, horrified.
Don't move, Kate. Eddie wants you to keep very still. Understand? Don't move a muscle.
Martin edges away, terrified.
If she presses down at the plunger, she'll blow us all up.
Angus and Zen exchange nervous glances. They watch Billy move slowly towards Kate, apprehensive. Billy creeps slowly towards her. He places his hands carefully on her arm, drawing her slowly away from the plunger. Kate and Billy hug. Martin smiles sweetly.
Are you okay, Kate? You gave us a real stare.
Billy looks up at Angus and nods.
Thank you.
Kate gives Billy a hug.
Oh, Daddy, thank you. You saved us from getting killed.
Look at that, Billy. You're a hero.
He looks at Angus.
And you too, sir. Congratulations to you both.
Angus eyes him, doubtful.
Unlike me, I guess according to Zen, I don't care about anyone. It's just gold, gold, and more gold for me. I guess I'm nothing more than a greedy scoundrel.
Angus and Zen eye Martin, impatient. Kate smiles up sweetly at Martin.
Don't talk that way about yourself, Mr. Martinez. It makes me sad.
Martin smiles back sweetly at her.
All right, dear, if you say so.
He looks down at the dynamite. He motions her towards Zen and Angus.
You be a good girl and follow those two nice ghosts upstairs. This place is going to get a little unsafer very soon. Daddy and I have some work to do.
Kate looks up at Billy, uncertain. Billy nods.
He's right, Kate. You go with Angus and Zen for now. I'll see you in a little while at the trailer.
Angus and Zen escort Kate away. Martin grins excitedly.
Well, Billy boy, alone at last. What do you say we blow this beast open and see what's in its belly?
Billy places the dynamite inside the rubble-filled tunnel ahead. Martin watching, excited. Several minutes pass. Interior Wilhelm's trailer. Kate sits inside the trailer, holding Teddy. Angus and Zen wait with her. Anxious. Wilhelm sits on bed, watching Raiders of the Lost Ark on his smartphone.
No! Indiana, this scoundrel is lying to you. Do not give him the idol for the whip. It is a trick.
On the tiny cell phone screen, Jones throws the idol to the villain. The villain runs off, leaving Jones stranded. Wilhelm groans. Kate sits with Angus and Zen at the table.
I think we need to have a little talk with your father, Kate.
Really? Why?
Zen glances at Angus.
Things are just getting far too dangerous down in that mine for a little girl.
I like working with Daddy. It's so much fun in the mine. We're going to be rich. Mr. Martinez said so.
Kate, I know you think Mr. Martinez is a good man, but he isn't. Actually, he's just the opposite.
Really? But he told Daddy that we were going to find lots of gold. He said I could buy a pony.
Now, Kate, Zen and I don't care about any gold. The only thing we care about
There is a loud explosion that shakes the trailer. Kate hugs Teddy to her. She begins to cry.
Daddy!
Zen moves closer to Kate, reaching out her hands as if to hug her, lowering her head sadly. Kate continues hugging Teddy.
You hear that, right? That was a bomb going off, Kate. Dynamite. Martin is reckless with that stuff.
I don't even know
Zen-
where I'm at. Dang.
Carry on. Zen sighs.
Zen sighs, frustrated. She exchanges a nervous glance with Angus.
Go ahead, Zen. Tell her what he did.
Zen looks down.
I
I don't know. That was such a long time ago.
She needs to know. She needs to know what he did. That he's not to be trusted.
Angus crouches, peers straight into Kate's eyes. Kate looks at him.
Kate, honey, a long time ago, before you were even born, your friend, Mr. Martinez, caused the death of a lot of good people in this town.
Mr. Martinez made people die?
Angus's eyes drift up to Zen, uncertain. Zen nods at him, urging him to continue.
Sometimes people want something so much that they don't consider the consequences of their actions. Mr. Martinez wanted the gold under the ground very badly.
There is a second explosion. Moments pass. All is very quiet.
I don't want Daddy to get hurt. Can we go make sure he isn't hurt, please?
Kate looks to Angus. Angus thinks a moment.
Yes, that's exactly what we will do. Maybe together we can persuade your father and Mr. Martinez that no amount of gold is worth risking your life over.
Angus, Zen, and Kate exit the trailer. Wilhelm continues watching the movie, annoyed.
What kind of archaeologist is afraid of snakes? Preposterous!
Disgusted, he tosses the phone on the bed and staggers to his feet. He looks out through the window. He watches, depressed, as others disappear into the hole.
Not fair! Willem is missing out on all the fun.
He snatches the miner's helmet off the table, limps quickly towards the door. An explosion rocks the trailer. Wilhelm stumbles, falls down, knocking over the table. He lies on the floor, groaning. He lifts his head slowly. He glances about, alarmed. Cut to interior of the mine. The sight and sound of rock and debris raining down, smoke clearing to reveal Billy covered from head to foot, in dust. Before him, a gaping hole in the wall of the cave. Martin appears suddenly besides Billy. He looks excited.
The moment we've been waiting for is now at hand. All of your hard work is about to pay off.
Billy wipes dust away from his face, coughing. Martin gazes at him, impatient.
Well, come on, boy. Don't keep me waiting. I'm just a normal man. If I see that gold, I might give in to temptation and take it all for myself.
Martin chuckles, eyes twinkling with mischief.
I don't get it. Why does a ghost even want or need gold? You can't pick it up and hold it, which means you can't even spend it. What good will it do?
You're a very smart young man, Billy. But there's one very important thing you don't know about me. As hard as this may be for you to believe, I'm not in it for the treasure.
If it's not the gold you're after, what is it?
Martin pauses dramatically, blinking back tears.
Dignity.
Billy studies him, perplexed.
Dignity?
Martin sniffles.
That's right. I was one of those who died when this mine collapsed unexpectedly years ago. I was buried alive, and here my bones have remained for all that time. All I ask now is that I get a proper burial so that my spirit can rest in peace.
Martin wipes away a tear.
Well, all right. I guess that makes sense.
You're a good person, Billy. The son I never had.
He attempts to hug Billy. Billy draws back quickly, looking uncomfortable.
Thank you. Thank you for helping an old ghost that the world has forgotten. I promise you, you won't regret this.
Billy studies him warily. Suddenly, Angus, Zen, and Kate appear, walking quickly towards Billy and Martin. Kate rushes up to Billy, hugging him.
I heard an explosion, Daddy. I thought you were dead.
Billy tries to brush off her concern.
Look at me. I'm fine, honey.
Kate wipes some thick black dust away from Billy's face, hugging him.
I was scared.
Martin grins sweetly.
Nothing to be worried about, sweetie. Your daddy's an adult. He can take care of himself.
Zen lashes out at Martin.
Maybe it's time he starts taking care of his own daughter, too.
Billy stands suddenly, staring at Zen.
Now, just a minute.
Martin interrupts, glaring at Zen.
Why don't you butt out? He's right. You're not her mother. You're not anyone's mother.
Zen glares at him.
You're right, and it's your fault. You and your stupid dynamite and mining. We told you to stop and you didn't.
My, so much bitterness. That accident happened years ago. Isn't it time we all considered moving on?
Moving on? Really? Is that why you're back down here in this dirty mine still digging? After how many years? Putting more innocent lives in danger?
I've heard enough. If you'll excuse us, we have work to do.
Martin turns to walk away. Zen obstructs him.
I will never forget what you did to this town. Never.
Lighten up already, dear. Get a hobby. Find a scary house to haunt. Graveyards are always looking for a spook.
Angus growls at Martin, fists clenched.
Don't you talk to her that way, you festering dingleberry.
Martin sneers.
You can't threaten me, you bumbling connection of ectoplasm.
You're a villain.
Martin smiles slyly and motions for Billy and Kate to follow.
Enough talk already. Let's get a move on, you two. We're about to strike it rich. I am not about to let these two party poopers rain on our parade.
Billy looks down at Kate.
Come on, honey. We'd better be going.
Kate, torn, looks up at Billy and then back at Angus and Zen.
But Daddy, she sings to me.
Billy studies Zen for a moment, flustered. Kate allows herself to be led away. Martin hurries into the opening and down passage. Billy picks up the shovel and follows, Kate in tow. Zen and Angus watch sadly.
Oh, Angus.
He's right. We're not her parents. This is Billy's call.
Zen stares down the empty corridor, helpless. The two turn slowly away, heading back in the direction they came. Interior mine. A large chamber opens up before Martin. His eyes glint wildly. Billy and Kate arrive behind him and stand looking into the chamber, stunned. The ceiling of the chamber is completely collapsed, light shining down from far above. The floor of the chamber is littered with rock and rubble. The skeletal remains of rotting clothing of several wedding guests are strewn about the floor, along with broken or badly damaged belongings from the old church. Martin starts through the debris, Billy and Kate at his heels. Martin walks quickly. He looks nervous, haunted. Billy and Kate follow more slowly, taking in the devastation.
Everything is all broke up.
Billy eyes the mashed piano, its keys scattered about the floor like discarded teeth.
Something very bad took place here a very long time ago.
Billy looks towards Martin, who is climbing over a badly damaged pew. Billy gasps, stunned, gazed at the devastation around him.
Oh my gosh, what happened?
Martin falls over the pew, gets up angry. He glares at Billy.
I'll explain later. Now, please, hurry.
He gets up off the floor and nearly runs into the large wooden cross from the church. He freezes, stares at the cross, remembering. Begin flashback. Interior mine. A younger Martin stacks several bundles of dynamite in front of the large rock blocking the passage ahead. He runs back down the passage around the bend to a plunger, chuckling with delight. He picks up his helmet and puts it on. He hears the sound of piano music overhead, beautifully and distant. Muffled by several feet of rock, he listens. It's the wedding march. Martin shrugs, not interested.
Fire in the hole. 3, 2, 1.
That was perfect timing.
It was.
He shoves down the plunger. There is a huge explosion. As the smoke clears, the sound of explosion gives way to the sound of frantic voices above. Martin looks ahead. The huge boulder is shattered. He runs to the opening and looks inside. There's a large chamber. A train is parked in the track that leads to the out of the tunnel to the outside. One of the train cars is filled with gold. A second contains famous works of art. Martin walks slowly up to the train, climbs up to the car holding the gold, picks a large nugget up in his hand, admiring it. Martin pauses to listen to the sound of piano music from above resumes. And a moment later, the rumbling sound of rock and shifting of the patter and the patter of pieces of the ceiling hitting the floor all along the tunnel. Martin looks up, watching a long jagged rock form in the ceiling of the chamber. It begins to widen, and his face turns from triumph to fear. The whole ceiling suddenly collapses. Instinctively, Martin quickly reaches into his pocket and pulls out the medallion. He screams as several objects fall through the ceiling, including the large wooden cross. It strikes Martin's arm, knocking the medallion out of his hand. Martin plunges headlong after the medallion through the darkness and debris. He spots it lying against the cavern wall, stumbles over debris towards it, almost reaching it when there was a terrible clanging noise from above. He lunges for the medallion. The church bell strikes him a terrible blow, and he is flung across the room. His face is inches from the medallion. He smiles painfully and reaches for it, but then suddenly stops moving, his eyes wide open in death. End flashback. Interior chamber, moments later. Martin hears Billy's voice and then sees Billy standing next to him, Kate at his side.
Martin, are you okay?
Martin stares at Billy and then at the cross, which has been moved aside.
You look surprised.
Martin looks at the cleared passage ahead of him, still shaken.
I'm just happy to see that thing out of the way. I thought we might need to use some dynamite to dislodge it.
Billy chuckles.
You sure do like your dynamite, don't you? Kate and I knew you wouldn't be able to move it. You're being a ghost now, so we did it for you.
Martin nods, understanding.
Well, thank you. That was very thoughtful. Now, shall we?
They move on toward next chamber. Interior large chamber. Martin leads the way into the adjacent chamber, this one even larger.
Look what I found, Mr. Martinez. Isn't it pretty?
Kate holds up the medallion, looking pleased. Martin stares at the object, dumbfounded.
What's wrong?
Martin peers longingly at the medallion. He reaches out hungrily to snatch it away, but his hand passing right through it, his eyes fill with tears. Kate jumps back, startled. Martin quickly collects himself.
Martin, are you okay?
Martin snuffles.
Why are you so sad?
Martin shakes his head, wiping away tears.
On the contrary, my dear child, I'm happy. I'm overjoyed. That medallion was a gift from a very old friend of mine. It means the world to me. Seeing it like this brings back so many fond memories.
Martin holds open arms as if to hug Kate.
Oh, thank you, dear child. If I could hug you, I would.
Martin's face transforms from sadness to a wicked grin. When he turns to look at Kate and Billy, he appears grateful.
May I ask one more favor of the two of you?
They gaze at him, waiting.
Name it.
Martin smiles grimly. He motions for them to follow.
The day the ground gave way and the old church collapsed was the worst day of my life. I was badly injured and I knew I was going to die.
He points back to the first chamber as he walks towards front of train.
I crawled literally on my hands and knees across this floor as the ceiling fell in. Somehow, I got to this room, seeking some place of refuge from that horrible tragedy.
He points up at the front of the train.
I climbed into the cab of this train, broken and badly injured, and that is where I died.
Kate and
Alright.
Billy exchange.
Thanks, Edgar. Appreciate it. Have a good time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Kate and Billy exchange shocked glances. Billy approaches the front of the train reluctantly, climbs up, and looks inside the cab. He gasps. Kate rushes up closer.
What is it? Do you see something?
Billy continues staring into the cab. Interior cab. A skeleton stands clutching the controls in one hand, a badly dented miner's helmet lying upside down on the floor on its feet. Exterior train. Billy climbs down. Kate bounces up and down excitedly.
Did you see it? Is there a skeleton up there? Can I see? Can I see?
Billy shakes his head, disturbed.
There is, and no, you can't see it.
That's not fair.
Billy sighs and looks at Martin.
Okay, so what does you want us to do?
Martin looks down at the medallion, still clutched in Katie's hand. Kate's. Excuse me.
Toma?
How about Ron? Is he still here?
Oh, Ron, go for it. Sure.
It would make
I'm
me
not
so
Martin.
happy.
Yeah, I know. Somebody left.
Oh, go ahead, Ron.
It would make me so happy if you could bury the medallion with my remains. Then, Lord willing, I could finally rest in peace.
Billy gazes up at the cab. His eyes drift over the two cars attached to the engine, curious. Both are covered with large tarps and roped down, so that it was impossible to see the cargo.
I wonder what this little train was hauling.
He begins to climb up to the first car and starts to remove a rope.
Get down from there.
Startled, Billy jumps down. He and Kate look at Martin, puzzled.
Is something the matter?
No, I'm sorry if I sounded a bit tense. It's just that I've been dead for so long. Couldn't we check to see what's on the train later?
Relax, little ghost. It'll just take a minute.
Billy climbs back up and goes to work removing the restraining ropes from the car. Martin, nervous, looks down at Kate.
Kate, dear, how would you like to have a look at my skeleton?
Kate nods, excited, then looks worried.
Oh, but Daddy said he didn't want me to.
Martin chuckles, patting her head.
That's because he thought you'd be scared. But look at you, you're talking to a ghost right now. You don't look scared to me. You're not scared, are you?
Kate ponders a moment.
No, but that's because you're a good ghost.
Martin smiles slyly, his eyes fixing on the medallion.
Ah, I see. Well then, it only stands to reason that a good ghost must have a good skeleton.
He motions for her to follow him.
Now, come along, brave one. There is no harm in taking a quick glance at a few dusty bones while your father's away. Why should he have all the fun?
Martin disappears into the cab. Kate climbs up the side of the train and in behind him. Interior train cab. Kate stares at the skeleton, fascinated. Martin stands next to his skeleton, pleased. Kate comes up closer to get a better look of the skeleton. She examines the miner's helmet.
This is the coolest old helmet ever.
Do you like it? You can have it if you want it.
Kate looks delighted.
Really? Oh, that's awfully nice. But then Daddy will know that I was up here when he told me not to be.
Martin ponders another moment.
Not to worry. I'll tell him the whole thing was completely my idea.
Kate hesitates, then picks up the helmet. She glances up at Martin.
Are you sure it's okay?
100%, sir.
Kate stands holding the helmet in one hand, the medallion in the other. Martin's eyes are fixed on the artifact.
Now then, call me paranoid, but I keep worrying that my friend's gift is going to get lost again.
Kate looks at him, naive. She lifts the medallion.
You mean this?
Yes, but I thought of a very good way we can keep it safe.
His eyes shift from the medallion to the skeleton.
Kate, dear, would you place my friend's gift on my skeleton? That way we will both know where it is and that it's okay.
Kate shrugs.
Sure thing, Mr. Martinez.
She lays down the helmet, climbs onto the woodpile next to the train's furnace. Mice scamper in and out of the woodpile. Kate pauses, glancing at the mice.
Oh no, I'm scared.
Martin looks excited. He eyes the woodpile.
You'll be all right. See that flat piece of wood? Jump right there when I tell you to.
Kate points at wood.
That one right there?
Martin smiles, trying hard to conceal his eagerness.
Yes, Kate, go ahead, jump.
Kate crouches and jumps. She lands on top of the wood, teeters off balance, dropping the medallion. The wood pile collapses, crushing one of the mice as the others scatter, squeaking into the shadows. Kate's sitting, looking down at the dead mouse, sad.
Oh, poor little mouse. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you.
She kneels by it, crying softly.
Don't die. Please don't die.
The mouse doesn't move. Martin moves up behind Kate. He peers hard at the medallion, reading.
Give me life from those who have fallen.
Kate looks at Mouse sadly.
Did you say something, Mr. Martinez?
Martinez's voice grows louder.
Give me life from those who have fallen.
He continues to recite, repeatedly, each time more loudly and confidently. Kate turns to look at him, scared. She begins to back away from him, until she backs into skeleton. She stops and looks up. Suddenly, two bony hands, partially covered in flesh, wrap around her throat, choking her. Flesh and muscle creep across Martin's skeleton, brain forming, heart beating, until it is completely restored. Martin hovers over Kate a moment, smiling wickedly. He takes over controls of the train. Exterior top of train, moments later. Billy stands atop the first car, gazing down in amazement at a cargo load of gold. He quickly unties the rope from the second car. His eyes grow wider. It is filled with several very valuable-looking paintings and a shovel with a broken handle.
What's this?
Billy picks up one of the paintings and stares at it, looks at another, and then another. Sticks hand in pocket, pulls out smartphone, and does internet search.
Famous stolen paintings.
Phone monitor displays a website of stolen artwork. Billy scrolls down. A few moments pass. He glances up at artwork in train car and suddenly stops. He gasps, staring at the monitor.
What the?
It shows one of the stolen paintings. Suddenly, the train roars to life. Billy looks up, startled. Martin stands at the controls, no longer a ghost. Looking over his shoulder through the back window at Billy, elated. Martin bends down out of sight for a moment. Suddenly, he tosses Kate's body off the train.
Kate!
All aboard!
The train lurches forward, nearly throwing Billy off the side of the car. He falls inside the second car, smashing one of the paintings, then climbs back out, dazed. He clutches the broken shovel in one hand. He glances back at Kate's lifeless body, grief-stricken. His face takes on a grim and determined expression. He turns back and looks at train engine and Martin, enraged.
You're not going to get away with this, Martinez.
The train gains speed, rushing down the track. It exits the mine and heads towards town. Interior saloon a few moments later. Lee slowly stands up from behind the bar, holding his head, suffering from a terrible hangover and a goose egg in his forehead. He picks up the remote control of the toy monster truck, then glances at the doll.
Oh, my aching head. Miss Beasley? Mama was right. Drinking never done nobody a lick of good. From this day forward, Lee Stouffer is swearing off liquor forever.
Suddenly, the sound of a train's whistle can be heard in the distance. Lee tucks the toy monster truck under one arm and the doll under the other, picks up his cowboy hat off the floor, and starts for the door, still groaning. Lee steps through the saloon doors. The whiskey bottles on the wall behind the bar begin to shake and clink softly together as the train, still some ways off, draws nearer. Exterior saloon. Lee walks listlessly out of the saloon and into the bright sunshine. He blinks up at the sun and pulls down the brim of his hat a little. His shiny silver belt buckle dazzling like a mirror. Cut to exterior top of the train car. Billy climbs across the top of the front car, the broken shovel clutched in one hand. The car sways from side to side, almost throwing him off. He climbs on top of the gold to the front of the car, peers in through the back window at Martin. Martin waves a smile back at him, arrogant, then goes back to the controls. Billy makes a dangerous leap from the front of the first car to the cab, clinging to the metal bar beneath the window, his legs hanging down, the track a blur, rushing by beneath him. He struggles, managing somehow to pull himself up to the window. He swings the shovel, smacking the blade against the glass. The window shatters and he climbs through. Cutting himself, he falls into the cab with a hard thud. The shovel slams against the floor and clatters away. Interior train cab. Martin turns around to see Billy sprawled on the floor, stunned. Martin looking about desperately, snatches up the shovel, lunges at Billy, snarling. Martin swings the shovel at Billy, cracking him across the top of the head. Billy slumps on the floor, unconscious. Martin returns to the controls of the train, elated. The ghost town is visible in the distance. Exterior Main Street. Lee walks out into the middle of the main street, heading in the direction of the broken down monster truck. He climbs up and into the truck, reaches in through the driver's side, and drops the remote control. A little monster truck inside. He reaches over and turns the key on the truck. It turns over once, but doesn't start. He tries it again, but this time gets only an annoying electrical clicking sound like a dead battery. A thin wisp of smoke floats up from underneath the hood.
Papa, you was right. Old Lee should have went to mechanic school. Now here I am, stranded in the middle of nowhere with only a country and western music education.
He jumps down and goes to the front of the truck and flips up the hood. More black smoke billows out. Lee shakes his head, worried.
Well, if I die out here, at least I have the music in my head to keep me company.
He strikes up another cowboy song, belting it out, and then out of the tune drawl. Several blackbirds take flight at the sound, and small animals flee for cover beneath the nearest old building. Lee goes over to the water pump beside the saloon and gulps down several swallows of water.
Woo-hee! Ain't nothing like the crystalline taste of fresh water straight out of the pump.
He takes off his hat, fills the bowl of it with water, and dumps all of it on his head, shivering with pleasure. He spots Wilhelm's trailer and walks across the road towards it.
By God, Lee, I think that's one of them fancy little pull behind trailers. I ain't seen one of them in years.
Exterior Wilhelm's trailer. Lee walks straight up to it, then stops, glances towards the refurbished outhouse.
Look at that, would ya? Somebody did a fine job fixing that old potty up. I'd hired him. I would.
He knocks on the door of the trailer. Behind him, the door of the outhouse cracks open. Wilhelm peers out at Lee's back, suspicious. He hobbles out, pick raised overhead, menacing. Lee knocks harder on the door.
Nobody at home.
He begins to push the door open. Suddenly, hearing a movement behind him, Lee spins. Wilhelm growls and buries point of pick in door an inch away from Lee's head. Lee screams, dropping doll and truck, and tackles Wilhelm and holds him down.
Now that has got to be the most unneighborly sort of greeting Lee has ever received. What's itching at you, partner?
Wilhelm continues to struggle, still pinned to the ground.
Unhand me before I call university security.
Lee stares down at him, puzzled and a little worried.
Now, there's no need to do that. Old Lee was just admiring your digs.
Wilhelm stares up at him, equally perplexed. Notices doll and truck lying nearby.
I'm almost afraid to ask. Are those yours, sir?
Lee looks at the toys, chuckles, helps Wilhelm up.
Tarnation, no! Those are for my girlfriend's daughter. Her name's Katie. You haven't seen her, have ya?
Wilhelm's eyes light up.
Kate? She and her father are down there.
He points to the hole. Lee stares at Rope, puzzled.
Tarnations.
The sound of train approaching in distance interrupts them.
That sounds like one of those old-time steam locomotives.
Wilhelm listens. Suddenly the ground trembles a little, and there is a sound of a train whistles, still fairly distant.
You are right. It is a train.
Lee suddenly looks alarmed. He snatches up the toys.
Desert Daredevil is sitting right in the middle of the track. We got to save her.
Lee sprints back towards his truck, Wilhelm hobbling after him. Lee glances down the track in the direction of the sound of the train. A curl of black smoke rises off the horizon in the distance. Lee jumps back inside the truck, trying over and over to start it. Frantic.
Come on! Come on!
Looking beaten, he slams his fist down on the steering wheel. He looks far down the track. The train is getting louder. Wilhelm is pointing at the front of Lee's truck, excited. Suddenly, Lee sits up, snapping his finger.
The winch!
He hollers excitedly and leaps out of the truck, kisses Wilhelm on the cheek.
You're a lifesaver, Professor.
He hands Wilhelm the toys and rushes around to the front. There is a winch attached to the bumper. It looks incredibly small, from almost toy-like, made perhaps to pull out a four-wheeler, but not a monster truck. Lee laughs, relieved. He glances around the side of the truck. The train is less than a mile or two away, puffing madly to make it up a hill on the edge of town.
Mama didn't raise no fools. Old Lee got himself a brand new winch at one of those big box stores at half price.
Lee begins unwinding a nylon strap from the winch and unreeling across the road. He looks about, frantically looking for a place to secure the hook at the end of the strap. He spots a barred window on the jailhouse wall. He quickly attaches the winch to it. He runs back to the front of the vehicle. Startled, Lee's head snaps up to the sound of the train whistle, shrill. He cranks with all of his might. The truck moves forward very slowly, crawling an inch at a time, a little better than halfway across the track. Sweat streaming down Lee's face.
Don't worry, Desert Daredevil. Lee will not abandon you like Lee's no-account first three wives abandoned Lee. Broke my heart, they did.
Lee looks to Wilhelm for help.
I am sorry. I cannot lend assistance. My leg is still healing, and worse, I could lose the very generous grant from university if I involve myself in activities not specifically related to the excavation of artifacts from Quigleytown site.
Lee stares at him, desperate. Wilhelm leans on Pick, shrugging in apology. The train reaches top of the hill. Lee goes hurriedly back to work. The truck moves forward a little more, painfully slow. The train races downhill, chugging loudly. Interior train cab. Billy stands up shakily and rushes at Martin. Martin spins around with the shovel in his hand and takes a vicious swing at Billy, missing. Billy slams Martin against the back of the cab and the two fight, their shouts drowned out by the train's engine roar. Martin and Billy are tossed against the front of the cab, but continue fighting, bruised and bloodied. Billy grabs Martin's throat, choking him. He glimpses the gold necklace and holds the medallion hanging around Martin's neck, partially hidden by his shirt. Exterior Main Street. Lee, exhausted from his hands, blistered, strains every muscle in the last effort to get the monster truck off the track, the train looming down on him. Wilhelm cheers Lee on from a safe distance.
Come on, cowboy. Indy would not have given up now.
Lee glances towards Wilhelm.
Who's Indy?
He shrugs and throws everything he has into moving the truck. The truck continues to inch forward with each crank of the winch, its back tires now resting on the track.
My old dog may have up and died and left me lonely and blue, but believe me, Desert Daredevil, I ain't never gonna leave you.
He pauses, breathing hard. His eyes light up.
Say, that was pretty good. If I live through this, I'm gonna go to Nashville and get me a recording contract.
He pushes and pulls on the crank with everything he has left. The strap on the winch suddenly snaps, and Lee falls to his face in the dirt. The strap zings through the air, barely missing Lee's head and smacking the bumper of the truck. His face pressed into the dirt in the road. Lee complains.
Cheap old tow strap. I guess Uncle Ray was right. You get what you pay for.
Lee looks up, the train bearing down. Interior train cab. Martin and Billy pressed up against the door of the cab. Martin reaches for the release switch on the door. Billy knees him hard where it hurts the most, and Martin lets out a grunt. Billy grabs the necklace on Martin's neck and attempts to strangle him with it.
How do you come alive, and what did you do to Kate?
The necklace breaks. Billy clutches the medallion in his hand. Martin smiles sweetly, eyeing the medallion.
Come now, Billy boy. I'm sure we can work something out. I'll tell you what. You can have half the gold. Now be a good fella and hand me the medallion.
Billy glares at him, defiant, shakes his head.
Answer me.
Martin smiles deviously.
Answer me, what happened to you? How is it that you're alive again?
Well, since you're a dead man anyway, I suppose I can let you in on my little secret. You see, after your little girlie passed over, all I had to do was read the inscription on the medallion and voila, I'm all better. A life for a life, you know?
Billy stares at him, disgusted. He throws the medallion over Martin's head. Martin tries to snatch it from the air, but misses. The medallion flies overboard. Martin, enraged, growls and charges at Billy. Exterior Main Street. Lee, nearly spent, stands up shakily and stumbles along the side of the track to the rear. He presses his back to the rear bumper, begins pushing. The truck moves another fraction of an inch, and rear tire drop off the rail of the track.
Come on, sweet darling. Lee loves you.
Lee gives one final heave, grunting loudly. The truck tires roll ahead. The train roars past, snapping off Lee's cowboy hat. The hat rolls along the edge of the track and comes to a rest some 60 feet away. Lee, eyes squeezed tight in terror, presses himself hard against the bumper of his truck as the train whips by, inches from his face. When the train clears, Lee turns back to his truck, satisfied. Suddenly, Medallion smacks him in the back of the head. Lee turns around, rubbing his head.
What in tarnation?
Lee picks up the medallion. Puzzled, he shoves it in his pocket. He spots Wilhelm across the tracks, hugging Mrs. Beasley like a little girl, terrified. Wilhelm slowly raises his head. Embarrassed, he quickly lowers Doll. Exterior Main Street moments later. Lee watches, relieved, as the train heads out of town. Suddenly, a large piece of the track buckles. The ground collapses, and the train slams to a screeching halt at the end of Main Street. The engine dangles precariously over the edge of a rocky, jagged hole, the weight of the two cars and the gold preventing it from plunging down into the mine. Exterior train cab. Moments pass. The engine of the train sputters, stalls, the sound of groaning. A few more moments pass. A hand stained with sweat, shirt, dirt, and blood grasps the top of the window above the door of the cab. The door of the cab props open, black smoke pouring out. A moment later, Martin appears in the doorway, badly bruised, his clothes torn. He looks at the gaping hole in front of him, eyes shifting to the gold in the car, dug into the earth overhead.
You're no quitter, Martin Martinez. Where there's a will, there's a way.
He begins to climb out of the cab, up to the front of the car, up towards the gold, determined. Suddenly, the cab shifts, dropping down a few inches, nearly jarring Martin off. He clings to it, terrified.
Never give up, never surrender. That's my motto. I don't need some silly Indian trinket to beat these fools. I'm a conquistador. I was born with a superior intellect.
After a moment, he begins to climb again. He grasps the edge of the front car, pulling himself up. He swings his leg over the edge of the car and climbs in on top of the gold, triumphant. He picks up a large nugget, staring at it greedily. Suddenly, he looks up to see Billy sitting at the edge of the car above him, holding the shovel, observing with interest.
Why, hello, superior intellect. I was worried if you'd survive the train wreck. Somehow, with your perseverance, I figured you might.
Martin stares up in disbelief.
Oh, it's you.
Billy glares at Martin.
I happen to have a motto too. Crime doesn't pay.
Billy lifts the shovel and slams it down on the link holding the two cars together. The link breaks, and the engine and front car fall into blackness. The echoes of Martin's screams fade away. Billy looks down into the hole, satisfied, jumps off the second car to the ground. He turns and walks back along the tracks into the direction of the mine.
I've got to find Kate.
Exterior Main Street, later. Lee pats his truck fondly, walks up along the track to retrieve his hat, bends down and picks it up. He dusts it off. He looks up to see Billy walking slowly along the track towards him, carrying something wrapped in a tarp. Tips hat as Billy approaches, grins at Billy.
Afternoon, friend. Where'd you get your license to drive that there locomotive?
Billy looks at him blankly, his face scratched and bruised, his clothing torn.
Kate's dead.
What?
Billy folds back tarp, revealing Kate's face.
What are you going to tell Ricky?
She's the one who left her here. You figure it out.
Lee looks dazed. Billy storms off with Kate, walking back along the track in the direction where the train came from, passing Wilhelm, holding Mrs. Beasley. Exterior Main Street, night. A light blinks on inside the tavern. Buildings begin to materialize. The church, the bank, the old jailhouse, next to Wilhelm's trailer. Ghosts begin to appear up and down the street, walking in and out of stores, some stopping to talk, and others opening their shops. Kate's ghost, dazed, suddenly materializes in the road.
Huh? How did I get here?
The large iron bell in the steeple begins to ring, pealing joyfully. A procession of ghosts appears, and the wedding begins to play out as it did in the past. One of the wedding party appears next to Kate.
Oh, who are you, little lassie?
Startled, Kate steps back. She gasps. She turns towards the church. She spots Zen and rushes towards her, panic-stricken. Points at church.
You need to tell everyone not to go in there. It's the only way to change what happened. It's the only way you'll ever get to marry Angus.
Zen stares down at Kate.
What do you mean, honey? We are getting married.
No, you don't understand. Martin is down there. He's going to explode the church.
Zen looks at her good-humoredly. She whispers into Minister's ear. Minister shrugs and nods.
Listen up, everyone. There's been a change of plans. We've decided to take this wedding outdoors.
The crowd murmurs as they follow the minister back outdoors. As the last member of the party leaves the church, there is a large explosion. The church shakes and disappears into the earth. The minister looks at the large hole, stunned.
God works in mysterious ways. Looks like we've got to get our new church after all.
Minister gazes heavenward, delighted. Exterior Main Street. A short time later. Kate stands amongst the ghosts on either side of the street. Zen, dressed in wedding gown, walks down Main Street, brightly lit by lanterns. She meets Angus and the minister in the middle of the street. Minister hangs ring to Angus. Angus places ring on Zen's finger. The minister smiles, relieved. Zen and Angus glance at him in anticipation. The music stops suddenly.
Well, get on with it, Angus. Kiss the bride before the rest of us towns falls into abyss.
Zen and Angus kiss. The people cheer. They do not notice as Martin, still alive but badly bruised and cut, climbs out of the hole behind them.
Can't stop me, Billy boy.
He hides in the shadow of a train wreck, observing. He sees Lee sitting at the excuse me, jeez. He sees Lee sitting on the bumper of the monster truck, examining Medallion. Martin looks surprised and pleased.
It's gonna be too easy, like taking candy from a baby.
He sneaks in shadows towards Lee. Billy walks a few more steps along the track, then slumps to ground. He raises his head as the sound of a motorcycle approaching fast. Ricky arrives on Billy's motorcycle. Wilhelm sits beside her in the sidecar, disheveled and terrified, one hand clutching Mrs. Beasley and the other clamped tight over his eyes.
Thank you for the ride. but I'm not going to equivate. That was rather awful. I would rather lay down in a nest of poisonous vipers, be made to endure the painful stings of 1,000 scorpions, be forced to dine on dozens of chilled monkey brains, be compelled to.
Ricky cuts him off, annoyed.
All right, shut up already. We get it.
She jumps off motorcycle, her irritation growing as she approaches Billy.
There you are. I tried to call you 5 times. Why didn't you answer? Your mom fell at the hairdresser again, and she won't let anyone help her but you.
Billy sits with back to her, unmoving. Ricky rolls her eyes and storms up to him.
Are you listening to me at all? I said your mother.
Billy slowly turns to her, eyes filled with tears. As he turns, Kate's body is revealed. Ricky stands, shocked. She stares at Kate's body, horrified.
What did you do? What happened to her?
Ricky carefully takes Kate from Billy. She rocks her in her arms, gentle.
It's okay, sweetie. Mom is here. Everything will be okay.
Lee runs up to Billy and Ricky. He removes his hat sadly. He offers medallion to Ricky sympathetically.
Here, Katie might have liked this.
Billy's eyes grow wide with delight. He hugs Lee and dances around happily.
Lee, you're a genius.
Lee scratches his head, confused.
I am?
This medallion can bring back Kate.
Billy turns over the medallion and reads the inscription. He then places the medallion on Kate's chest. Expectant. Nothing happens. Billy picks up the medallion and eyes it, confused and frustrated.
I don't understand. Why isn't it working? After all, it's a life for a...
Suddenly, Martin charges out of the darkness, knocking Billy to the ground. Ricky screams. The two wrestle, rolling across the ground, getting dangerously close to the edge of the hole. Kate's ghost is drawn to her body. She gasps, looking down at herself in her mother's arms.
That's me.
She stares for a moment at Fight, then eyes shift to the medallion.
The medallion, it brought that man back to life. Maybe it can bring me back to life.
She pauses to think.
What did he say? Get me life from falling. Give me life.
She looks down at the medallion, cocks head to read inscription. She begins to chant.
Give me life from those who have fallen.
The medallion begins to glow. Exterior train wreck hole. Martin rushes at Billy, trying to knock him into the hole. Billy steps quickly aside, sending Martin free-falling headfirst into the hole.
No!
As Martin's voice fades to silence, Kate begins to stir.
Mommy, can you sing me a song?
Ricky looks down in surprise as Kate opens her eyes. Ricky cries in happiness and squeezes her tight.
Yes, sweetie. Of course I'll sing to you.
Ricky begins singing. Billy hears Ricky, seeing Kate alive. He rushes over and hugs both of them.
Kate.
What happened to the man you were fighting?
Lee walks up.
Well, it ain't exactly a pretty story for a little buckaroo like you.
Billy interrupts.
He fell down that big hole.
He stares at Kate, fighting back tears.
I thought you were dead.
Kate hugs him, holds up the medallion.
It was the medallion. It brought me back because that man fell down.
Billy eyes medallion. Lee winks at Billy, good-humoredly.
Kids and their crazy imaginations. Ain't that cute?
Billy hugs Kate while Lee sings snatches from an inspiring country and western music song, like Proud to be an American. Suddenly, Lee stops mid-sentence and looks around, confused.
What in tarnation?
Billy and Kate stop hugging and look around, perplexed. The scenery around them has changed from a dilapidated ghost town to a thriving tourist destination. People of all shapes, sizes, and nationalities fill the streets, wandering from shop to shop.
What's going on?
The buildings are all restored to their 19th century architecture and appear lively and well kept. Billy, Kate, and Lee exchange confused glances.
The town is fixed? Does that mean Zen and Angus?
Kate is interrupted when Billy calls out to a passerby.
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me where we are?
You don't know? Why, you're in Golden Heights, one of the few towns in the 1840s to remain after the gold rush. A bit touristy for my taste, mind you, but you really should check it out. Their old-time photo booth is great.
The passerby continues on his way. Billy turns to Kate, curious.
Kate, what exactly did you do as a ghost?
Kate shrugs her shoulders.
I don't know.
Exterior train car the next day. Lee arranges paintings carefully in the back of the truck, covering them in canvas. Seeing Billy, he peers down, waving.
I'm going to help Professor Wilhelm return these paintings to the museum. He's going to give me the names of some companies that can help me start up my own little place in this here town. After all, it turns out to be not too shabby of a place. Now, don't it?
Billy looks up at him. Interested, he grins.
Are you talking about me being your business partner?
Lee slides down from truck. He stands in front of Billy, looking serious.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. What do you think?
Billy stares at him, surprised. He reaches out and shakes his hand. Interior saloon, night. A new, noisy, brightly lit saloon is filled with tourists, playing cards, drinking, eating ghost-shaped chocolate bars, and buying candies shaped like gold nuggets. An old photo of Angus and Zen hang on the wall, above an old player piano on the side of the saloon. Title card, 1 year later. Billy and Kate clerk at the gift shop. Ricky stands at the back of the bar, the dishwasher nozzle in one hand and a cell phone in the other. She stares at phone, mesmerized as water sprays out in multiple directions, soaking the floor. Billy rolls his eyes and places wet floor sign next to her.
Say, Kate, can you run up to the trail and ask Grandma if she wants some sarsaparilla?
As Kate leaves, the town's mayor, Maeve Anderson, a small dark-haired woman with a Maeve for Mayor campaign button, strolls into the saloon. Billy gives her a nod from behind the counter.
Welcome, Mayor Anderson. What brings you here tonight?
Maeve stands in the middle of the room and looks around, pleased.
I must say, this town's never had so many new faces until you two opened the salon. Nice work, guys.
Billy smiles and waves his hand.
Don't thank me. It was all Lee's idea.
Lee turns bright red and moves his cowboy hat.
Ah, shucks, it was nothing really.
The mayor's eyes fall on the photo of Zen and Angus. She approaches it with a look of great respect.
Great grandma and grandpa sure did a lot for this town. I hope the work I'm doing would make them proud.
Wilhelm, dressed in a business suit and wearing a tie covered in ghosts, stumbles into the bar. He plops down at the bar and orders 3 shots of tequila before gulping them down one by one. He stops suddenly, peering down at Billy's very shiny, very strange-looking belt buckle.
My, what a fascinating belt buckle.
Lee's eyes drift over to him. He touches the buckle, glancing down at it.
Oh, this? Found it out yonder along the old train track not long after I got here.
Wilhelm continues staring at the buckle.
That almost looks to be of Aztec make. So come on now, Lee, my old friend. How much do you want for it?
Lee looks fondly down at Buckle a second time and shakes his head.
Oh no, sorry, Professor. This one ain't for sale. I guess you might say I'm too attached to it.
The medallion almost seems to glow, the eerie visage and the black skull surrounding in gold glinting seductively in the bright lamplight for the bustling saloon. Fade out. The end.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we made it.
Wow.
Yeah, let's talk.
I've got to
I'll
pee.
go first. I gotta go.
Oh, you leaving, Greg? Don't leave.
No, I gotta
He's just
pee.
going to the. He has to go to the
Okay.
bathroom.
He
I
deserves
thought it
it.
was great. I thought it was great. Your characters were fleshed out. It was very descriptive. The ending had a twist to it, so you were surprised, and I didn't expect that ending, so that was really cool. The way they went, like all of a sudden it was a bustling town, and she had saved the day basically. So no, I loved it. It was great. Good job with that.
Thank
Thanks, Candace.
Yeah, it was an interesting storyline. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Oh, yeah, no.
I have
Okay,
to
with
go
that
because
being
my
said, I have to
dog is
go.
going crazy and my daughter has not had dinner, and so I need to get
Oh
going.
my God. Well, thanks
Oh,
for
man.
Yeah.
See you
Thanks
guys
for your
later.
time.
Tell her we're sorry.
All right,
Yeah.
bye.
All right,
Uh,
thanks, Candace.
I'll see you guys later too, because I gotta go to bed. I have to wake up
Right.
early for work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thanks.
I'll say something
Ron,
quick.
Eli, it's up to you guys now.
Yeah, I gotta take care of a few chores before it gets too late. But the script improved a lot, the structure and everything. Only thing I would say is I cut down even more the descriptions in between the dialogue, and
Okay.
instead of showing it real time, if you really have to describe it, put it in the beginning description before it all starts, and then cut all that down, like narrow down, boil it down once you do
Okay.
that. Because that's usually how a script reads. Most times the page will be dialogue. Every once in a while you might see, he turns his head or something,
Yeah.
but a lot of times you don't need that. Actors will figure that out, or they'll read that in the shooting scripts.
Okay.
But anyway, that's but it's improved a lot. It's easier to read and go through, and like they said, it's more fleshed out. So good work.
All right. Thank you.
I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
All right, thanks, Ron.
Take care.
All right, it's down to Eli and Greg. You guys got anything for the writers?
What this script reminded me a lot of was early 2000s movies.
Okay.
And I like that because nowadays everything is like, oh, here's all this CGI, here's all this action and all this sort of stuff, and like, yeah, there's like story thrown into the like new modern day movies, but like most of them are just like, oh, things are happening because why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this reminded me, like, there was like, I'm gonna be honest, Martin, I knew he was the guy blowing up the underneath.
Yeah.
Before halfway through.
Okay. Yeah.
It was, I don't know, I can't remember, but there was like a few certain lines he said about like before halfway through.
Yeah.
That made obvious to me.
Right.
And I don't know if you meant it to be that way or if you wanted him to be like this grand reveal.
What do you think about that?
Or did you really care if he was like, oh, we don't care if people figure.
Yeah. I think like originally, I think I was thinking that like the audience kind of knew that Martin was kind of bad, but like the characters didn't really know.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like besides like Ben and Angus.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like, I think that's kind of what I was going for. It's kind of like the tension of like the audience knows, but like the characters don't really.
Okay. Because what kind of made it obvious to me, because like whenever Kate has that first experience of watching the church just fall into the ground, because of these explosions and stuff, I knew it had to have been from like a miner or something, or somebody's doing something down there and then killing people,
right?
And then whenever Martin is first introduced, is down inside of the mines and stuff, and this was even before he suggested to getting dynamite and stuff, is like, I knew this guy is the one who's blowing stuff up.
He's doing the bad things. Yeah.
But what I really liked about this, and why it reminds me so much of like early 2000s films, and why I like that so much, because it doesn't happen nowadays, is the fact that Kate died.
Yeah.
I like that. And the fact that she gets brought back to life by defeating the antagonist. That doesn't happen a lot nowadays. Most of the time it's like they just all live forever.
Yeah.
Like instead of like most modern movies, like Kate wouldn't have died by being choked.
Yeah.
he would have just been like thrown her to the side inside the cockpit of the train, and she's still alive while the other two are fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like that she died, because that reminds me of very, I don't know why, but very Disney.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
And then she's brought back later.
That's interesting. That is a point actually in the script that we kind of debated about.
Yeah.
As to should we do that? You know, I mean, that's a pretty traumatic thing, depending on who the audience is for this exactly. You know, is it going to be too over the top for younger kids to be in the audience? You know, if that's the audience, which I'm not sure that is. You know, I think it's a larger audience than that probably, but certainly, you know, little kids sitting there watching it. Wow, is that too much?
Me personally, I thought it was all right. I think I argued to leave it in.
Yeah.
Because I remember like when I was little, I watched like The First Land Before Time and like Secret of Nim and movies like that. And those are pretty depressing. Like Littlefoot's mom just like dies, and the whole movie is him like dealing with it. Like Secret of Nim is all about animal testing and like
I guess Dan's mother dies. But
and also Lion King Mufasa gets like thrown off a cliff and trampled. So like, I mean, there's some pretty traumatic stuff in kids movies. Some of them are actually pretty dark if you think about it. So I thought like,
what was the movie we were talking about where the little girl dies? About she's the main character in the story. It's a fantasy part realism, but they go into the woods, and in that part is
Bridge to Terabithia.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Everything about when she died, seeing just how the impact of that particular scene.
Yeah, that was pretty depressing too.
Yeah. That's interesting though. I like that feedback. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a lot of, you know, like Watership Down and Secret of Nim. You know, that's what I grew up watching. You know, people died and they stayed dead. Kids nowadays, when they watch, you know, movies and stuff that are geared towards them, you won't see death. They won't talk about death. Maybe there might be like a death in the family, but they won't go too hard on it or something. But it's never like a plot point, like a main character won't die anymore. And that's what I like about this script, is the fact that it's going back to roots of how I remember things growing up and watching things in kids movies and stuff like that. Characters died. And I mean, of course, you know, in the end, they would be brought back magically through bullshit, but
right.
Magic.
Through magic and stuff. And like in this case, it's the medallion. The medallion. I like the idea of it. I like how in the sort of introduction to the medallion being found, you know, we know it's going to come into play later. There's going to be something with it. There has to be something with it. What's it going to do? What's it going to cause? And you know, he kills his colleague over it from the start. So we know that it has something significant to do with, like, people are going to either fight over it. People are going to want it more than anything else in the world. They're going to be obsessed with it. And that's what this guy, Martin, did. He died just because he dropped it whenever he caved in the place, and he was going for it, and it got him killed. And then even after he comes back to life, that's all he wants, is just the medallion. Then he turns into a freaking belt buckle at the
I was like, what is up with that?
And of course, you know, like in Disney movies and stuff, you know, the medallion, it would have been destroyed. You know, they would have thrown it into fire. They would have like broken it up. They would have done something with it, or threw it into the hole with the guy or whatever as he died. Blah blah blah. But I like how they took the route of like, we're gonna straight disrespect this artifact and turn it into a belt buckle. It's around some guy's crotch till the end of days.
I was kind of thinking like kind of an alternate ending I had for it. I didn't really get a chance to add this in, but like I was thinking to like kind of like another alternate ending idea was that an actual like indigenous person, like I think, or an actual Aztec person comes back and like reclaims the medallion, and like the professor's like super disappointed because he wanted it for his university museum, and then the Aztec dude's just like, no, like this was stolen like by Martin, like it's coming with me, and then like that's just like the end. Like it gets like returned to like its rightful people, but
yeah,
that was like
I'm assuming the parts with Lee and like the monster truck and stuff. I'm assuming that was more like for the comedic relief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of to fill space. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes all movies have it. Some worse than others have those sort of scenes. But I mean, if you make it work, it works. But some people they just like throw in comedic relief, randomly, and it just doesn't make sense. Or like a main character in the situation of peril is the comedic relief, and it just doesn't flow well with it. And so I like the monster truck being on the train tracks, and I like, him having the little toy and just messing around with the toy and getting drunk. What kind of audience is this geared towards?
Family.
I think that was their plan, right?
Yeah.
Family. We even thought about well, let's see. So we're watching Spirited Away about this time, right? Spirited Away.
That's what I was getting. That was the feeling I was getting when the town materialized. I was like, ooh, this is very Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else? There was the other film was Jumanji.
Yeah.
The original Jumanji with Robin Williams. And the beginning point of that, right, is they find we got the beat, the beat, and the drums and that sort of thing. That kind of comes full circle. It's like the end of the film again.
Yeah.
So we kind of have that, trying to have those two ends tied together at the very. So those two films, I think, were kind of the influence.
Yeah.
The biggest influence.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And I don't know why I was getting like a really big Back to the Future feel. For some reason, I don't know. I think it's just the adventure out aspect.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, of like those early sort of not modern day movie. And
right.
I'm just gonna be on it. Modern day movies are bad. They're not entertaining.
Yeah.
maybe like modern. I think the only kind of modern day movies I like are like maybe like detective sort of murder mysteries sort of thing where it makes you think. But besides that, it's like horror. It's all the same. Adventure movies these days, they're all the same. Then all you have left are remakes after remakes after remakes. Nothing new is coming out. Then you just have Marvel movies.
Yeah. I don't want to see none of my remakes. I've seen Mulan, a couple of them.
Yeah.
Like not. Like
and so I like this because it's so original and it reminds me heavily of things I really enjoyed growing